Internettarifen. Zum Beispiel in der Prepaid AllNet Flat M jetzt mit 10 GB für 10 €. Kongstar.
Haben Sie fleckige Gläser nach dem Spülgang? Testen Sie den Finish Glanz- und Klarspüler. Er verhindert Wasserflecken. Für strahlenden Glanz. Der Finish Glanz- und Klarspüler.
Fly, chicken lollipop, fly away into this hot oil.
Blaze, it's me, your favourite chef, your big brother, your father figure, your golf caddy. That's right, it's me, Gordon. Now, guess what? Look, I'm in your favourite place, the place where you spent 3 seasons, down in the basement alongside your team. Dudes, they need a proper mentor. Now, set all that aside, I have another challenge for you. I'd like you to watch this video I posted on my social media to see if you can recreate it, okay? I don't mind you copying something from my repertoire, come on. Let's make spicy chicken wing lollipops. There may be a special guest there for you if you behave yourself. Good luck, and I'll see you on the 8th tee.
Okay, there it is. Gordon, listen, challenge heard, but can I watch that video like just one more time? Welcome to Next Level Kitchen, where the mentors of Next Level Chef, and I'm one, are being put to the test by Gordon Ramsay himself to help take your cooking to the next level. And I love social media. So today's all about trying to recreate one of Gordon's with a Blaze spin. Now, I've already rated the platform, grabbed a few things. We're making these amazing chicken lollipops in the depths of the basement. I'm using all of the equipment from the basement kitchen. All right, guys, here we go. We have the whole chicken wing right here. We have the tips, which you can save for sauces and soups. We have the flat, which happens to be my favorite part. But we also have the drumstick, which I'm gonna use to make our lollipop. So I'm simply gonna take the flat off of the tip. We have what's left right here is our drumstick. And then I just wanna sort of knock off this little piece of cartilage. Okay. There we go, perfect. Knock that off, and then really, really simply, I'm just gonna use my paring knife and scrape the bones of the chicken down to make this little lollipop, sort of Frenching this bone right here. Getting all of that meat from the top, getting it down. So what we do is we make this beautiful little clean bone, and there we go. That is our chicken lollipop. All the meat on the bottom, all of the bone right up top, and that's gonna be easy when we're entertaining and we're taking this to the next level to be able to pick up and eat. So I've cut this chicken, and now we're gonna get into the fun part. I'll be honest, I love chicken wings. I am a chicken wing connoisseur, and I love all different flavors, but I'm not just gonna do a basic version today. I'm gonna take it to the next level. We're gonna do my version of lemon pepper wings, but I'm gonna use lemon pepper, lots of garlic, and black pepper. So the first thing we wanna do is make our dredge for our chicken lollipops, okay? Our dredge, which is gonna be equal parts AP flour, rice flour, and some cornstarch, right? If we use just AP flour, it's gonna get brown but not crispy. The rice flour will get crispy really, really easily. And the cornstarch as well is gonna help make this a nice light batter. Now, every time I'm making a dredge, which is what this is right here, and I'll whisk it up just to sort of mix all of those flours and the cornstarch up, I wanna make sure that I'm seasoning that dredge, okay? So seasoning it, I have a little black pepper in here, a lot of black pepper in here. Again, we wanna make sure that this tastes good. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt as well. If you are seasoning a protein, you wanna season from up high so it disperses over the ingredient. A matter of fact, I think maybe we'll do that as well, right? Because I want my food to be very, very seasoned. It's the easiest way to get sent home on Next Level Chef or sent home from your own chicken wing party is to not season your food. So again, I wanna season this from up top, a little bit of salt, a little bit of black pepper. Now that's really, really seasoned. And then very simply, I'm going to dredge my chicken wings. Because the chicken is moist enough, I don't really need anything else. I don't need any egg wash or anything like that. It's almost like chicken that comes with its own toothpick. Yeah, that makes sense. It's a bone, but you know, it sort of functions as a toothpick. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, there we go. Chicken lollipops, nice and dredged. And I'm gonna let these sort of hang out in the dredge as I throw my oil on the stove. Make sure that that gets really, really hot. We're using a neutral flavored oil, which is the most TV chef thing I've ever said, a neutral flavored oil. But what I mean by that is we're not gonna be frying in olive oil because it's too expensive and olive oil can get really, really bitter. It's got a high smoking point. You don't wanna do that. So just a neutral flavored vegetable oil will work. Okay, my lollipops are ready to fry. They can just hang out in that dredge. I'm gonna throw that on the fire and I'm gonna start making my sauce. And we'll just start with butter. And again, this is a riff off of my favorite wings that I would eat when I go out. Lemon pepper wings. I love lemon pepper wings. Just the sweet sour that you can get from the lemon and then just lots of black pepper and lots of garlic. So this is some garlic paste. My butter's melting. And again, I want this to be, this is not gentle cuisine. We want this to be really, really big flavor. So we add a lot of garlic paste. I'm gonna just let that start cooking in the butter. And then this is my version of this here. I like to add a little bit of lemon curd, or actually a lot of lemon curd. This is in my first cookbook, Try This at Home, nominated for a James Beard Award. You know what it means when someone tells you that their thing was nominated for something? It means they didn't win. It means they did not win. Okay, lots of lemon curd. Now listen, the lemon curd can be really, really sweet, right? So we wanna be kind of careful that we don't turn this into like too sweet of a dish. So now we're gonna add all these other elements. A little bit of soy. Soy is salty, it's got umami in it. This is actually white soy. So I'm gonna add a couple drips of that into there. And now we have sweet, now we have salty, now we have umami. I'm gonna add a little bit of this hot sauce in here as well. All right, that's wing sauce. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt, why not? I'm gonna add one of my favorite ingredients that a contestant on Next Level Chef this year turns to time and time again. It is Next Level Chef liquid seasoning. That's right. What is liquid seasoning? Basically, it's MSG. Which is really, really strong. So just a couple little drips in it. And what does MSG do? People think MSG gets a bad rap. It's just what literally makes your mouth water, right? It's prevalent in bacon and shellfish and cheese and all of these things that we really, really, really love, okay? I'm gonna give it a taste because this is what chefs do, right? We have to taste the things that we're making. I know I forgot an ingredient. Okay, sweet, spicy, it's salty, there's that umami. The thing with MSG or umami, you wanna be careful, it kind of blooms on you. It kind of shows up to the party a little late in a really flamboyant dress. That's what MSG does. Oh, a little spicy there, maybe too spicy. So what do I do if something's too spicy? I'll go back with a little bit of that lemon curd. And now, of course, it's black pepper wings. Lots of black pepper. Okay, and my sauce is almost done. Butter, lots of butter. Now we have that fat that's just gonna finish in that sauce off to the side, right? And just sort of stir it in. A chef told me once, it wasn't Gordon or Naisha, that you wanna sort of stir your sauce clockwise or counterclockwise. I don't know why they told it. I think that chef was just messing with me. Okay, letting that butter just melt in there. That's enough sauce for about 48 wings. I'm only making 5, but that's just how these things work. Okay, we have our frying oil ready to go. Neutral flavored oil, very, very hot. We have our dredged lollipops. I wanna keep a little bit of that extra flour on there. And then just to test the oil's hot enough, just let a little bit of that flour drip in the oil. That's how you know that it's hot enough. If it's sizzling, it's hot enough. If it's not sizzling, it's not hot enough. Or you can use a thermometer. But I'm using basement level equipment. We don't have thermometers in the basement. Okay, here we go. Drop one of those. And you can also tell, I'm not cooking under the pressure of the platform maybe dropping, but when I put something in the fryer, I sort of just let it go in there and let it swim. Okay, I'm a trained professional. You can use tongs. Just put it in there, let it swim away. And then you say a little like, fly, chicken lollipop, fly away into this hot oil. And now while our chicken is frying, we're gonna get into our garnish, okay? So garnish, it's lemon pepper. Now we have the lemon curd. That's like a cooked lemon, a real sweet, like processed lemon flavor, but we wanna use some fresh lemon to finish. Anytime I'm using a lemon, I wanna roll the lemon. It's very therapeutic. But by rolling the lemon, this sort of releases all of the oils in it. And then I'm gonna have some simple garnish, some sesame seeds, some scallion, and some chopped parsley. Let me check in over here on our wings, see how they're doing. Ooh, they're getting nice Nice and crispy. This oil is so clean though. That's gonna take a couple seconds to look like it's golden brown. Okay, here we go. We got lemon. Now we have some scallions. And we just want some thin scallions. Here's my technique when I'm slicing. I kind of cut on the backstroke. Maybe it's because I'm left-handed. I don't know if there's a reason, but if I'm slicing, I kind of like to go on the backstroke. It just is a nice smoother sort of stroke if I want really, really nice, thinly cut scallions. You can hear my chicken sizzling away. My sauce is done. Getting our garnish going here. So we have some scallions all the way down to the white, so I'm fine with that. We'll put that off to the side. That's enough scallions for this dish. All right, chicken's still frying away. Just a little rough cut on the parsley. And then this is where you can have a little bit of fun. I like to just get in there and just or you can use a mezzaluna. Checking my wings again. These are almost cooked. You can see the cornstarch is keeping them nice and light and golden brown. It's gonna be really hard to overcook those lollipops, so I'm not too concerned about that. Lemon. Here's how I like to cut lemon. I cut it in thirds. It's a little easier to get all the juice out, and I cut it in thirds. I don't have to worry about the seeds popping through there, right? So I can use these pieces and I don't have to worry about seeds getting in to my chicken wings. Okay, chicken wings. Let's see. Golden brown, crispy, just about. Yeah, you can feel it. You can feel how crispy they are. We'll just let them finish up. If you're gonna do this properly and use basement level utensils, go find the weirdest, largest mixing bowl you can find. This is good to toss chicken wings. This is good to go tobogganing down a hill. This has many, many uses. Get my lemon curd sauce. Okay, we don't need all of it. Off to the side. Now you see that nice glaze right there. Wings are done.
Bist du ready für das All-Inclusive Mega-Ding?
All-Inclusive.
120 Millionen Songs.
Alles dabei.
Ohne Werbeunterbrechung. Die RTL Plus All-Inclusive Entertainment App. Jetzt entdecken.
Now again, seasoning the whole way. So here's our 5 wings. You can see how crispy they are. Letting them drain out of that oil. Just let them sit over there for a second. A little bit of salt. Being really aggressive with that salt. And then right to our mixing bowl here. I know this is gonna get the little beautiful lollipops a little messy, but they are wings, right? They are wings, and then here's the key moment. If you're not making wings, unless you're doing this, unless you're tossing them around like this and having fun with it, you're not making wings. That's the sound you wanna hear. Okay, time to plate. I'll throw a couple sesame seeds in there too, why not? We gotta throw sesame seeds in there because it's gotta look like how Gordon's looked. A little bit of that parsley and scallion as well. Love it, love it, love it. And now it's time to plate. Oh, here we go. Beautiful plate. We'll have the lollipops going up, nice and sauced. Glazed and blazed. Lemon curd, hot sauce, soy sauce, sweet, savory, spicy. And the key, of course, though, is all of this amazing, amazing sauce. Get these little lollipops sticking up here. 5 little guys. Okay. Sweet, sticky. There it is. Okay. Finishing it up. A little bit of scallion. And there it is, Gordon. I don't know, yours looked pretty good, but almost too fancy. Mine look delicious, like you want to eat them right now, don't you? Now listen, Gordon said he had someone to come in and judge my chicken lollipops. And guess who is here? How the tables have turned! Teeny!
I'm on your side, so...
Oh my gosh, well hopefully you're still on my side. So Gordon,
Yes.
you saw his dish.
Yes.
Super, super fancy, very meticulous. Mine, a little bit more basement style. I love lemon pepper wings. What's your favorite wing?
I love a hot honey.
Ooh, so hot honey, lemon curd, and hot sauce, that might work as well.
Yes.
So I'm a little nervous though, right? Because usually I'm judging
Yeah,
you.
usually you're judging me, so...
Okay, well let's just do it like the show. Visually, what do you think, Tina?
Visually, I like it. It's like, I like the glaze, like the sauce. I love a good sauce, too. That's why I like hot honey. I don't like a dry rub,
Do you think it's blazed and glazed?
You and your little dad jokes. Yes, definitely blazing glaze, and I like the color on everything. I like the garnish. Yeah, I like it.
Okay, Teeny, here's the big question. I know this is very pressure-packed, but whose do you think looks better, mine or Gordon?
I think I'm gonna have to go with my mentor.
Yes!
That's you.
Yes!
Yes.
It's too posh, isn't it? It's like too fancy,
For
right?
wings, I don't want fancy. I want to be slathered in sauce and messy. So you don't have to go fancy with wings.
Ooey gooey, spicy
Yes.
and flavorful. Okay, let's get in. Listen, we
All
have
right.
not done this, and I don't think we'll ever do this again. But how about a cheers with a
Yes,
chicken
of
lollipop?
course.
Cheers, Teeny.
Cheers. I like that.
Sweet and spicy. Blazed and glazed.
Yeah, and it's not too sweet. And I like the sauce. I love me a sauce.
I learned it from you, Teeny.
I know I love my sauces.
Please let me know in the comments what you think of the dish, and don't forget to subscribe for more exciting videos.
Hallo AFOPs und willkommen im Noppenstein-Studio. Ich bin der Marco und heute ist ein Designer bei mir.
Genau, ich bin der Anton. Man kennt mich vielleicht von Architektursachen vermehrt, aber jetzt seit einiger Zeit bin ich auch im Mittelalterbereich tätig.
Jawohl.
Unter anderem hiermit.
Genau, wir wollen euch mal diesen Prototypen zeigen und wollen mit dem Designer, da er heute schon mal hier ist, über seinen Flusshafen sprechen. Der Flusshafen sah mal anders aus.
Genau, der ist nämlich schon einige Zeit in Entwicklung, wie man vielleicht auch an den ein oder anderen Staubflecken sieht. Die
Ja.
eigentlich alles ab. Genau, soll ich einfach mal gleich mit
Ja.
Zeigen anfangen? Genau. Oder ja, sag du vielleicht. Wir haben am Anfang größte Änderung waren 2 Gebäude.
Genau, es waren 2 Gebäude. Wir hatten hier ein etwas größeres, das ein Gasthaus innen war, und hier ein kleines Lagergebäude. Und die
Genau.
Dächer waren noch anders. Die Dächer hatten so eine Mischung aus
Genau,
Grau und Grün.
Die waren einfach noch nicht so blausteinifiziert, ne? Also die waren
Genau.
Ja, und rückblickend
Richtig.
gefallen mir auch gar nicht mehr eigentlich.
Das hier war das größere Gebäude und das war das kleinere Lagerhaus. Lass mich doch mal selbst drauf gucken. Jawohl.
Genau, hier hat aber auch noch diesen Haken,
Genau.
der an der Seite, der jetzt auf der anderen Seite ist. Also
Ja. Und wir hatten hier kein Wasser dabei, keinen umgebenden Boden. Und durch die Art, wie das Dach gebaut wurde, durch die Tatsache, dass wir hier ein kleines Gasthaus hatten, ja, es aber auch schon das Gasthaus zum Goldenen Kelch gab, passte das Set nicht ganz dahin, wo wir es haben wollten. Das sollte nämlich tatsächlich der Flusshafen unseres mittelalterlichen Dorfs sein. Du hattest da ja auch schon so irgendwo Kohle gelagert, ne?
Genau, Kohle ist und war hier vorne, genau.
Die hier vorne gelagert ist. Denn, und Holz ist ja auch gelagert, denn ihr erinnert euch an unser Köhlerlager. Ja. Das Köhlerlager, das hat schon auch mit dem Flusshafen zu tun, denn die Kohle, die da produziert wird, wird dann über den Flusshafen in die nächste Siedlung, vielleicht bis in die Hauptstadt, verschifft.
Genau. Und
Das
noch
war
dazu-
so die Idee.
Noch dazu steht das Kühllager auch im Wald. Da haben wir uns gedacht, aus dem Wald wird wahrscheinlich auch nicht nur Kohle, sondern auch Holz so
Genau.
exportiert. Und wie man jetzt sieht, im Kühlerlager hatten wir diesen kleinen Bach. Ne? Also den Fluss haben wir hier, diesen Bach.
Ja.
Genau, der fängt hier an und das sieht man jetzt hier wunderschön, weil es in Grasfarben gehalten ist. Aber hier das Grün im Prototypen, das wird dann später auch im Black, genau. Hat ja mit einem anderen Namen auch zum Teil. Genau, also dann fließt hier dieser Bach weiter und genau zur weiteren Verschiffung dann.
In den Fluss, richtig. Also hier ist der Hafen, das hier wird alles Trans-Black. Und eine weitere Änderung zur ersten Version ist, dass wir jetzt hier das Wasser tatsächlich haben. Wir haben hier Wasser, genau wie wir das Wasser auch beim Köhlerlager haben und wie wir es bei der Wassermühle haben.
Genau.
Das war uns wichtig, dass man den Boden und die typischen Farben des Bodens, also auch das Grün mit dem Dark Tan hier sieht, damit die Sets alle so aus einem Guss sind.
Genau, man hat auch überlegt, mit vielleicht anderen Farben, wie Dark Blue oder so. Wir hatten ein bisschen mit Farben gespielt, aber am Ende war uns eigentlich dann schon klar, dass es dann, ne, also eigentlich
Dieses
die
bisschen
Kanten-
schmutzige
Ja.
Wasser, wo man nicht so durchgucken kann, ist halt keine Karibik.
Ja, wollte ich auch gerade sagen, genau.
Genau. Und
Nicht
jetzt
so
ist das Dach auch und so ein bisschen der Stil des Gebäudes noch ein bisschen blausteiniger.
Genau, halt einfach
sag ich mal.
regional typisch reinpassende, also das halt in der gleichen Region aufgebaut wurde.
Also deswegen ist das Set hier ein schönes Beispiel dafür, dass manche unserer Sets während des Designprozesses mehrere Entwicklungsstufen durchlaufen. Die erste Stufe war da waren die Dächer noch ein bisschen simpler. Es waren 2 Gebäude, eins davon ein Gasthaus. Und jetzt gibt es das Gasthaus hier nicht mehr,
Genau.
Aber den Wegweiser zum Gasthaus, zum goldenen Kelch haben wir noch.
Genau, und nicht nur zum goldenen Kelch, sondern natürlich auch, wie die Farben erahnen lassen, zum Blaustein selbst und hier noch zur mittelalterlichen Kirche. Da kann man dann, natürlich wie man möchte, wo man seine Häuser und seine Kirchen in seiner Welt stehen hat, den natürlich auch ausrichten. Genau, um sich halt so seine kleine eigene Welt ein bisschen aufzubauen. Genau,
und das kann auch eine Inspiration sein, für eure weiteren Gebäude eigene Wegweiser zu bauen.
Das muss ja nicht bei dem bleiben, da können auch noch weitere Schilder ran. Ne?
Richtig. Und auch hier weht ganz groß die Fahne derer von Blaustein, dunkelblau und beige.
Ja. Genau, man kann auch sagen, also auch abgesehen von den Gebäude und Anzahl der Gebäude und der Größe, hat sich auch bei hier der Breite und der Länge von den ganzen, ich bin nicht so in Schiffsdingern von den Pier, also von den ganzen...
Die Anlegestelle hier.
Von den ganzen Breiten- und Längenverhältnissen hat sich auch einiges verändert im Laufe der Zeit. Ich fand es eigentlich, dass es so jetzt einfach am stimmigsten aussieht.
Ja. Das ist auch nur so ein kleiner Flusskahn ohne großen Antrieb. Hier ist eine sehr lange Stange dabei. Und der wird dann durch den Fluss, der halt dann auch nicht sonderlich schnell fließen kann, es ist halt ein langsam fließender Fluss, gestarkt. Also flussabwärts wird er gestarkt und flussaufwärts ist es bei solchen Kähnen dann manchmal auch so, dass die getreidelt wurden. Also dass du so einen Treidelpfad am Fluss hast und dann halt so ein Ochse oder halt auch ein Kaltblüterpferd halt mal keine Kutsche gezogen hat oder keinen Flug gezogen hat, sondern ein Boot flussaufwärts getreidelt hat.
Ja, also ich bin entlang von dem historischen Kanal aufgewachsen, da war es auch Begriff, hatte ich auch überlegt, das vielleicht ein bisschen zu integrieren noch, das Thema Treidelpfad, aber...
Das wäre jetzt die andere Flussseite.
Ja, das hätte das Ganze nur unnötig in die Größe getrieben für ein bisschen mehr Detail.
Und groß ist das jetzt schon, wir haben hier über 3000 Teile. Es ist also eines unserer größten Mittelalter-Sets von den Burg Blaustein-Modulen mal abgesehen.
Genau, nicht Blaustein selber, ja.
Ja, ich wusste noch gar nicht, dass jetzt hier quasi der Bach ankommt. Das heißt also, dass hier...
Deswegen ist halt auch hier so ein bisschen diese Insel, das ist nicht einfach nur hier weiter Wasser vom Fluss, sondern das ist so ein bisschen so eingeengt. Ne? Also, genau. Also dann irgendwo bergauf ist dann...
Wollen wir mal noch einen Blick in das Gebäude
natürlich
reinwerfen? Das überlasse ich mal dir.
Ist natürlich auch schön modular aufgebaut. Man kann einmal hier das Dachgeschoss an sich abnehmen und dann hier das Dach. Konstruktiv war das ein bisschen schwieriger, aber man kann es auch sozusagen in diesen Dachpfannen mehr oder weniger also abnehmen zum Reinschauen. Jetzt drücke ich hier gerade Teile mit meiner anderen Hand ab. Genau, hier Dachgeschoss hat man jetzt einfach ein bisschen einfaches Lager. Auch vielleicht so ein bisschen Käse, wo gerade was gegessen wird von ungewünschten Gästen. Genau, dann machen wir jetzt gleich noch eine Detailaufnahme, weil so ist es ein bisschen schwierig. Aber man kann hier auch das Innengeschoss rausnehmen. Wenn ich es hinkriege. Genau, also hier haben wir es so gemacht, dass man das sozusagen den Boden rausnehmen kann und nicht das ganze Obergeschoss, weil es nur Fachwerk ein bisschen zu fragil war. Aber hier hat man dann trotzdem, kann man erahnen, wie es drin aussieht. Man hat hier die Treppe, die hochgeht, hier die Leiter, unten ist eine Treppe, genau. Unten die Treppe, die hochgeht, hier dann die Leiter, die weiter nach oben geht. Haben wir so gedacht, das ist so ein bisschen das Büro vom Hafenmeister, mehr oder weniger, der hier so ein bisschen seine, seine Dokumente aufbewahrt in diesem Schrank.
Oh, hier ist Gold.
Genau, wir haben noch, das kann ich jetzt so nicht zeigen, das machen wir gleich in der Tafel, aber wir haben noch so ein bisschen so eine versteckte Schatzkammer da drin, die hier hinter so einem verschiebbaren Regal ein bisschen versteckt ist.
Toll.
Weil man möchte schon seine Sachen irgendwo lagern und leicht zugänglich, aber trotzdem muss ja nicht jeder wissen, was man so in seinem Schuhschrank hat. Genau. Und hier aus dem ersten Stock geht es dann eigentlich auch gleich weiter in das Nebengebäude. Das kann man auch als Ganzes rausnehmen. Da sieht man vielleicht das Gold auch mal kurz so. Hat auch wunderschönes Metallic-Gold hier. Und ein paar Edelsteine.
Das ist also Teil noch der Schatzkammer hier.
Genau, das gehört mit dazu, obwohl es jetzt war einfach so konstruktiv. Genau, hier kann man auch wieder die Dachelemente abnehmen. Auf der anderen Seite auch. Yep. Da hatten wir jetzt einfach halt auch einen Lagerraum einfach drin, weil im Hafen kommen Waren an, werden Waren ausgeschifft, dann muss man halt einfach lagern können.
Und wir haben ein Loch im Boden. Das ist die Leiter, okay.
Genau, genau, man hat einmal für die Leiter da ein Loch im Boden, dann hat man hier so einen Lastenkran, wo dann auch eine Schnur dabei sein wird. Prototyp ist noch nicht dabei. Und hier geht es noch, genau, ein bisschen zu schnell aufgedrückt, hat man noch so eine kleine Luke, dass wenn das Ding hier oben drauf ist, kann man mit diesem Pferdekarren hier, der eigentlich fest ist, halt einfach unten durchfahren.
Man kann den da ausladen von oben.
Ja, aus- oder beladen, je nachdem wie gewünscht.
Nicht schlecht. Also hier diesen Durchgang, diese Durchfahrt. Und was mir auch aufgefallen ist, das finde ich spannend, Das ist nicht parallel. Wir verjüngen uns hier um einen Brick, oder? Das ist nicht ganz...
Genau, das war so ein bisschen aus der Kombination von 2 Gebäuden zu einem, ist das ein bisschen so ein glücklicher Zufall gewesen oder so, weil eigentlich wollte ich das ursprünglich nicht so. Aber ich habe mir gedacht, bevor man jetzt hier wirklich an alles immer rumschiebt und an die Gebäude und dann dachte ich mir aber vielleicht, hat es ja auch was, wenn es ein bisschen so in einem Winkel ist. Ne? Also,
das ist eine sehr spannende Bautechnik. Das heißt...
Wir müssen am besten leider vielleicht oben drauf
Die sind so um 1, ja.
Also hier, da drüben sitzen diese Bögen auf, da sind es glaube ich 7 Noppen dazwischen und hier sind 8 Noppen dazwischen. Also so ganz leicht, genau,
cool
aufgeschwenkt.
Das gefällt mir. Ja, hier lagert Holz, hier lagert ein bisschen Holzkohle.
Genau.
Und das ist so ein Leuchtfeuer?
Ja, Leuchtturm, dass man ein bisschen schon aus der Ferne auch dann auf den Hafen zusteuern kann. Und es ging hauptsächlich halt auch um ein bisschen Repräsentation.
Nicht schlecht. Wie gefällt euch das Set? Schreibt es in die Kommentare. Auf jeden Fall interessant, mal von dir zu hören, was du dir dabei so gedacht hast.
Ich habe mir noch was weiteres dabei gedacht.
Oho.
Das weißt du noch gar nicht. Ne?
Das weiß ich noch nicht.
Habe ich vorher schon ein bisschen geteasert. Das hatte ich nämlich mit Jo, also du warst ja jetzt nicht der Produktentwickler dabei, es war der Jo. Haben uns dann was überlegt. Und zwar, ich hoffe mal, das ist der richtige Prototyp, das man hier machen kann. Aber man kann hier etwas abnehmen. Da könnte man ja vielleicht noch ein bisschen erweitern mit... Dann.
Könnte man theoretisch noch... Ah ja, okay.
Also wer weiß, vielleicht so ein, naja, den Schiffswerft nicht wirklich, aber so vielleicht so, wo Schiffe ins Wasser gelassen werden oder Boote. Oder so eine Anglerhütte. Oder also, ne? Lasst uns wissen, was ihr da meint. Also wenn ihr das ganze Konzept, weil bis jetzt war ja eigentlich alles an Land. Gut, das war jetzt am Bach. Aber wenn ihr da wollt, dass da vielleicht noch ein bisschen mehr kommt im Thema Fluss, Mittelalter.
Wenn es eine Fischerhütte ist oder so.
Ja, vielleicht so ein kleines, was uns wäre, wenn kleiner.
Dass man einzeln stellen kann, aber auch, wenn man will.
Das wäre dann schon der Sinn dahinter. Den anderen alle waren auch so.
Ja.
Oder?
Schreibt das gerne mal in die Kommentare. Ist auf jeden Fall eine coole Idee, von der ich tatsächlich noch nichts wusste. Okay, ja.
Das ist so gut versteckt, dass du es nicht mehr gemerkt hast, ne?
Nee, das hat man nicht gesehen. Das ist fein. Klack. Stabil. Ja, vielen Dank, dass du mir das Set mal vorgestellt hast und
sehr gerne.
Den Zuschauern auch. Findet ihr diese Erweiterung unseres mittelalterlichen Dorfs in Richtung Wasser gut? Gefällt euch das? Natürlich, klar, Wasser hatten wir auch schon bei der alten Wassermühle. Wenig Wasser. Bei der Köderhütte haben wir auch ein bisschen Wasser und jetzt ist es eben mal ein bisschen mehr. Sieht aus, als wäre hier gerade Algenblüte, aber nein, das wird natürlich alles Trans Black.
Und das Schiff natürlich braun, das ist kein Camouflage-Schiff, genau.
Nee. Vielen Dank, dass du mir das gezeigt hast. Das war's für heute dann auch schon aus dem Noppenstein-Studio. Noppensteine kann man ja nie genug haben.
Demnächst gibt es einige mehr.
Ja, und wir wünschen euch viel Spaß beim Bauen.
Genau. Tschüss.
Ja, das Set ist jetzt soweit, dass es quasi reserviert werden kann von mir. Dann gibt es einen Produktionsauftrag, wenn die Teile da sind. Und dann, ich würde sagen...
Im Sommer vielleicht.
Sommer könnte passen.
Sommer ein bisschen baden gehen im Wasser. Ja.
Wenn ihr das nicht verpassen wollt, ihr wisst ja, Verfügbarkeitsmail abonnieren, ne? Dann werdet ihr benachrichtigt, sobald das Set da ist.
Jetzt also hier zusammensitzen.
Hey Simmers, stop what you're doing. Playing with mods just got easier. Thanks.
ハッピーデビルデイ！昔、世界で一番美しい眠れるアスモ姫を起こしてくれた騎士がいたんだけど、それって君だったんじゃないかなって思うんだ。夢かもしれないし、そうじゃないかもしれないけど、変わらないことが一つだけあるよ。君はいつでも僕のプリンセスで、僕だけのナイトだってこと。これからもずーっと一緒にいようね。約束。
Describing the IPC Strategic Investment Department, the first things that come to mind are their composure and the belief that the cosmos is in their hands. The most dazzling members of the department are certainly those handpicked by Diamond himself, the 10 Stone Hearts. With careful planning and precise calculations, they hunt down the debts owed to the IPC. But there is one stone heart who stands out, who does not believe in meticulous calculations. He trusts only the chips in his hand and has the guts to risk it all. He is the rising star of the Strategic Investment Department, Aventurine! For today's episode of Keeping Up with Star Rail, Mr. Aventurine's good friend, the Intelligentsia Guild's brilliant Dr. Veritas Ratio!
I wouldn't say we're friends, but he is not awful to work with, compared to the rest of the fools.
Not awful means outstanding in Dr. Ratio's dictionary.
It's a C at best.
Oh? Then let's see what our C student Aventurine is capable of. Aventurine is an imaginary character following the path of preservation. As the non-performing asset liquidation specialist of the Strategic Investment Department, his gorgeous appearance alone has debtors fleeing for their lives.
I keep telling him the flashy outfits are just making his job harder.
But that's all right, because Aventurine never lets the enemy get away. Aventurine's basic attack can deal imaginary damage to a single enemy based on his defense.
Running away is probably wiser than foolishly putting up a fight.
Exactly! Faced with foolish enemies, Aventurine unleashes the power of the Amber Lord. Aventurine's skill provides allies with a fortified wager shield for a set number of turns. The shield is stackable up to a limit. It's worth noting, effect res will increase on an ally with fortified wager, and when the ally is attacked, Aventurine accumulates stacks of blind bet. When Aventurine has fortified wager, he can resist crowd control debuffs. However, this effect does have a cooldown. Upon reaching a certain number of blind bet stacks, Aventurine consumes the stacks to launch a follow-up attack that deals minor imaginary damage to a random enemy, bouncing a certain number of times.
This combat strategy is completely illogical. Well, there's no point in teaching a gambler logic.
Well, when Aventurine uses his ultimate, he randomly gains a certain number of blind bet stacks and inflicts a nerve on a single enemy lasting for a fixed number of turns. He also deals imaginary damage to the enemy based on his defense. When an ally attacks an unnerved enemy, the crit damage dealt will increase. Just seeing blind bet in action sends me into a cold sweat.
He has a motto. Temptation is a virtue, but hesitation is fatal for gamblers.
Aventurine's technique thoroughly lives up to this motto. After Aventurine uses his technique, he will gain one of 3 defense boost effects, the degree of which is different for each effect. At the start of the next battle, this effect increases the defense of all allies for a certain number of turns. It's worth noting, when the technique is used again, only the effect with the highest defense boost is retained.
Having skin in the game is a foolish choice. But he always comes out unscathed, so he never learns his lesson.
Next, to give us a better understanding of his philosophy, Mr. Aventurine has specially provided us with a rare video. Let's take a look at these flashy moves in actual combat!
He actually provided this material himself. What a show-off.
After unlocking a certain trace, Aventurine provides a fortified wager shield to the entire team at the start of the battle. This shield effect is based on his skill and lasts for a fixed number of turns. And don't forget, allies with the shield effect will accumulate blind bet stacks for Aventurine when they are attacked.
Aventurine only believes in striking first. I fear his frontal lobe will never learn to wait and counterattack.
Not to be outdone, the enemy immediately strikes at the team.
Foolish. Attacking at this time will only make Aventurine's victory even sweeter.
As expected, the enemy's endless stream of attacks do not break the shield. And because of Aventurine's trace, March 7th, who has fortified wager, counters while accumulating blind bet stacks for Aventurine. Due to the enemy's non-stop attacks, the stacks quickly reach the number required to trigger a follow-up attack. And because of another trace's effect, Aventurine's defense increases his crit rate, and follow-up attacks more easily trigger crit hits. Due to this trace, when the follow-up attack to blind bet is triggered, it replenishes the shield effect for all allies.
Your partners at the table are also part of the game. Those who understand this have already surpassed ordinary gamblers.
The enemy continues to attack, but it's only increasing the number of blind bet stacks. Adventuring casts his skill, replenishing his shield again. He casts his ultimate, stacking up enough blind bets to trigger the follow-up attack again. The enemy is utterly destroyed without dealing any damage to the team.
Aventurine's opponents think they're players at the table, but in reality, they're just chips in Aventurine's game.
Dr. Ratio may have a sharp tongue, but it seems there's some mutual respect.
Wait a moment. Mutual? What did he say about me?
Aventurine personally asked for Dr. Ratio to be our guest today. He said, perhaps only Dr. Ratio can succinctly explain my combat style.
Nonsense! He's a system of chaos devoid of logic. Unintelligible. That gambler can't possibly think my mathematics are suited to this pinball, can he?
He also said Dr. Ratio will vigorously deny this, but if he didn't fully understand my abilities, why would he accept the invitation to come on the show?
That's not... I approve of this show's dedication to truth and knowledge. Nothing more.
I really can't tell what the deal is between you two.
Level up your gaming space with metal posters from Displates. Hang your displates in seconds.
What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick Kakis, and today we've got some brand spanking new Destiny 2 news, courtesy of the Bungie weekly update that has just gone live, revealing official information. And oh boy, there's some stuff you're gonna want to know about. And so, let's get started. But just before we do, guys, I've got to introduce you to the boys.
Wait,
now,
why did you say it like that?
Say, like what?
The boys.
I did. Okay, listen. I'm saying the boys. Completely normal. I don't think I'm saying
That's
weird at all.
weird. Why
I'm
are
not
you
saying the boys weird at all.
Yes, you are. That's
the boys. So it's time to meet the ultimate Manscaped family. First of all, with the Lawnmower 3.0 Plus. This bad boy is everything you've come to expect from a Manscaped product. High quality, waterproof, LED light, 60 minutes of run. Alright, now first things first, what's been going on this week for Destiny 2? Well, on the Tuesday weekly reset, a few things happened. Number one, 2 more Brave Arsenal weapons were added to the loot pool, so you can now get, first of all, the Mountaintop Grenade Launcher, one of the most iconic weapons in Destiny 2 history. I did a video on that weapon linked right up above, going over the god rolls. Yes, rolls plural. The perk quality for this thing is like beyond anything I've ever seen. 100% check that out and 100% try to get that weapon. Now, we also got the Midnight Coup hand cannon, and that is also looking to be an incredibly powerful weapon. These Brave Arsenal weapons are insane. Now, on top of that, guys, we also had a hotfix and some important things I want to point out. First of all, for the next Iron Banner, which I think launches April 30th, they're actually going to have an increased drop rate for the Tusk of the Boar and the Multi-Mac for players who have not yet acquired them. So if you missed out on your chance to get those weapons, and that's really important because once you get just one drop, you can then focus them. Definitely next Iron Banner, it's going to be easier for you. On top of that, guys, we have some other fixes here, and importantly, down in the weapons section, they fixed the unlimited uptime for the Cascade point perk, so I think it's actually re-enabled now. But moving on from there, I think a day or so later, we also got a very important update about Onslaught from the Destiny 2 team Twitter account. And here's what it says. We've been following feedback that there should be better incentives to stay in Onslaught for the full 50 waves so teammates don't dip out after wave 10. We're adding 2 additional weapon rewards to Onslaught and buffing trophies of bravery drops to help address this. So they continue. Change 1. A chance for 1 additional weapon to drop when you complete a wave. The drop chance will increase per wave until you get the weapon, and the drop will be guaranteed at wave 50. Change 2. A bonus weapon will also drop after you complete wave 50 in either difficulty. This change, along with the first, means that completing 50 waves will guarantee 2 additional weapon drops. We will also be increasing the number of trophies of bravery you receive from completing waves 40 and 50 of Onslaught and waves 30, 40, and 50 on Legend difficulty. Our goal with these changes is to make sticking it out in the later waves feel more rewarding. We've also seen people ask if Shaxx's vendor reputation will be able to be reset. Lord Shaxx's vendor in the Hall of Champions was not meant to be reset, and any text stating a reset is available is a bug. We investigated adding resets, but it wasn't feasible at this time. One of our goals with adding the additional chance for a weapon to drop when completing an Onslaught wave, as detailed above, is to increase the total rewards earned, as you can no longer earn Brave engrams from Shaxx after you hit his reputation cap. And we are targeting an update next week to get these changes live in the game. So overall, guys, honestly, huge shout out to Bungie here because they're pretty fast to act. Like, coming next week is pretty soon, and these are definitely some positive changes for people who do want to grind all the way to wave 50. So if you do get wave 50 Legend, you're going to get significantly more trophies from those waves 30, 40, and 50, and then you're also going to get 2 more guaranteed weapons, and that kind of makes up for the time disparity of going to wave 50 instead of just doing 10 reset, 10 reset. So that is good. However, I'm pretty disappointed to hear that you won't be able to reset your Shaxx reputation within the Hall of Triumph. Like every other vendor, you can reset their reputation. Why is Shaxx the exception? Especially because there's weekly bounties that give you those huge boosts to reputation. So many people hit the rep cap like week 1, and so those bounties are just a complete waste of time now. It just seems strange that this is like the one vendor we can't reset, but I digress. More rewards coming next week for getting to wave 50. Now guys, moving on from there to the brand new information within the TWAB. Big news right off the bat. I'm going to skip right to it. We have a date for the next raid coming within the final shape, and that is going to be on June 7th at 10 a.m. Pacific. So that means final shape releases June 4th and the raid starts June 7th. And I hate this. Like, to be perfectly honest with you guys, I thought the time of only 3 days to get ready for a raid was long since past. I thought Bungie realized that so many more people would be able to participate in a day 1 raid if you got that whole week to prep. As it is right now with a 3-day raid, and I've done a lot of them, you really don't have time to experience the new content, the new expansion, right? You're absolutely blasting through it as fast as possible. You're only focusing on one character, maybe unlocking the prismatic stuff for one guy, and then you're thrown into the raid. Now, maybe this is a bit of a first world problem. Maybe some of you guys will be like, no, I like when it's like right back to back, but we have had record numbers of day 1 raid participation once Bungie shifted away from only 3 days to prep. So I'm very curious to see like what the participation numbers are this time around and why Bungie made this change. Because again, like more people than ever were participating when they had that week to actually get ready. So now it's probably going to result in a lot of people, a lot of more casual players just not even bothering, right? Because they're like, well, I haven't even hit the level cap. Of course I'm not raid ready. Maybe to compensate for that, the level requirements for this raid will be lower than usual, but that speculation we'll have to wait to see. Regardless, guys, mark your calendar. Now, moving on from there, we also have some final shape clan updates. So Bungie says we're also delivering some new content and quality of life improvements to clans that we hope will breathe some life into the system and encourage players to play with their clanmates. So they say, first up, Hawthorne will be receiving a vendor reputation track, and you can actually see a screenshot of that right here. But they continue, Guardians can earn clan reputation by completing activities, with higher difficulty activities giving more progress, and playing with clanmates giving a large bonus to progression. Clan bounties are also getting some love, with the Nightfall bounty no longer requiring a clan level 6 to claim. There will also be 2 new bounty types, one for seasonal content and one for dungeons. All clan bounties will also grant some clan reputation. They also say the clan perks of yore have gotten a little stale, so they're getting a full refresh, and here are the new clan perks. So at clan level 2, you have live fire sale, raid banners sold from Hawthorne cost less. Then you have at clan level 3, bountiful bounties. The first clan bounty completed each week grants an exotic engram. At level 4, you get of hawks and pigeons. Raid rotator challenges grant spoils of conquest. Trials wins grant additional trials reputation. At clan level 5, you have weapon ritualist. Earn bonus crafted weapon XP from completing ritual playlist activities, and at level 6, you have alloy completionist. Completing all clan challenges in a week grants an ascendant alloy. Bungie says, lastly, clan XP is getting a rework on the back end to be more consistent along with some XP source tuning, so players should have an easier time consistently earning XP for their clans. If you've never been in a clan, now's a great time to hop in and meet some new friends. And I would definitely agree. Judging by these rewards, try to get into a clan ASAP. Now, moving on from there, guys, we have the Fireteam Finder moving out of beta. So a little bit of an announcement here, as well as you can see just some improvements that they've made. But overall, again, Fireteam Finder has been received pretty well. And so excited to see it's going to be available for the final shape out of beta. Now, moving on from there, guys, they say Destiny 2 into the light in year 10. That's a crazy thing. Year 10, crazy. Now, they say with Destiny 2 into the light, we've introduced a variety of activities and rewards to celebrate the lead up to the final shape. This includes a blend of limited time content with activities and rewards that will continue to be available to players after the event ends. We'd like to give you a full breakdown of the content plan leading up to the final shape. So, you have limited time activities and rewards. To start, we want to highlight the content that will only be available during this time. So when the final shape arrives, this stuff is going to go away. So first of all, the Pantheon activity and emblems. Pantheon is our raid boss gauntlet that will be available from April 30th to June 3rd, and with Pantheon we want to create a unique and challenging event that players could test their mettle against. Prior to our big battle in the final shape, Pantheon will offer a chance to earn a variety of emblems, and similar to the limited time emblems we've made available in past contest raids, we expect the exclusivity of these emblems will make them highly sought after, and so that is going away. Next up, the Destiny 2 Into the Light and Pantheon seal and title. So the Godslayer title earned through the Pantheon event and the Brave title earned from Destiny 2 Into the Light. The triumphs, those are limited time rewards, and so you have to earn those in that time period. Moving on from there, the Brave Arsenal limited edition variants. So they say, as we've previously mentioned, the limited edition variants, the glowing versions of the Brave Arsenal weapons, will only be available until June 3rd. Then we have the Hall of Champions and associated quests. So that stuff is going to go away June 3rd. You won't be able to go to the Hall of Champions anymore. Now, they do say some of the content associated with the Hall of Champions, like the parade armor sets, will still be available in the future. Based on the reaction to Destiny 2 Into the Light, we've decided that the Super Black Shader will return later on as well. But the best time to grab these rewards is before the final shape, while they still have a deterministic path. Now, Bungie also says, we really like the attunement experience so far, and while it won't be available right at the launch of the final shape, we're already working on bringing back a new attunement experience for the Brave weapons starting during Echoes, which I think is the first called episode coming after the final shape. Now, importantly, guys, this does mean, like, they don't mention the chest where you spam your trophies. So you're going to want to make sure to use every single trophy before June 3rd. Moving on from there, they have content continuing after June 3rd. So this is the stuff sticking around. First of all, the Onslaught activity and the Brave Arsenal weapons, so you can still earn mountaintops, etc. You just won't be able to attune them and get the shiny versions. The PvP maps are sticking around. The Whisper and 0 Hour missions and rewards are sticking around as well. They're going to go to the Legends tab after June 3. And they also say the Parade Armor and Shaders are going to be sticking around as well. Now moving on from there, guys, we have a Bungie bounty. They say join the Bungie Foundation today, April 18th, as we raise money for charity. You can see all of the information right here, as well as the exclusive and elusive emblem that you're going to earn if you are able to match the featured Bungie bounty recipients. And guys, that's it for all the information you need to know about. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button.
Pass, Deal. Suche, was du siehst mit Google Lens. Hol dir jetzt dein Samsung Galaxy A55 inklusive Gratis-Buds FE ab einmal 1 Euro und sicher dir dauerhaft 200 GB extra Datenvolumen.
This week in Destiny for April 18th, 2024. The Final Shape Raid release date, the Final Shape clan updates, Fireteam Finder out of beta, Destiny 2 Into the Light content in Year 10, information on Bungie bounties, and much more. Let's dive right in. So this week's update first starts off with Save the Date, the Final Shape Raid. Not much, but we get an update on when the Final Shapes Raid is releasing, possibly one of the biggest raids in this franchise's history. After the launch of the Final Shape on June 4th, Guardians won't have to wait too long to tackle the raid. The new raid will launch on June 7th at 10 AM Pacific time, so gather your fire team, gear up, and get ready. So 3 days after the expansion releases, I think this is what normally happens when expansions and their raids release, just a couple of days on that Friday, and it looks like it's going to be the same thing for the Final Shape. They don't have much else to say on the raid besides that though. Bungie will also be delivering some new content and quality of life improvements to clans that they hope will breathe some life into the system and encourage players to play with their clanmates. First up, Hawthorne will be receiving a vendor reputation track. Guardians can earn clan reputation by completing activities, with higher difficulty activities giving more progress, and playing with clanmates giving a large bonus to progression. Clan bounties are also going to be getting some love, with the Nightfall bounty no longer requiring clan level 6 to claim. There will also be 2 new bounty types, one for seasonal content and one for dungeons. All clan bounties will also grant some clan reputation. Clan perks have also gotten a little stale, so they're also getting a refresh. Check out the new perks here. At clan level 2 you get live fire sale. Raid banners sold from Hawthorne cost less. At level 3, bountiful bounties, the first clan bounty completed each week grants an exotic engram. Level 4 of Hawks and Pigeons. Raid rotator challenges grant spoils of conquest. Trials wins grant additional Trials reputation. At 5, Weapon Ritualist, earn bonus crafted weapon XP from completing ritual playlist activities. And then at clan level 6, Alloy Completionist. Completing all clan challenges in a week grants an Ascendant Alloy. Lastly, Clan XP is getting a rework on the back end to be more consistent along with some XP source tuning, so players should have an easier time consistently earning XP for their clans. If you've never been in a clan, now's a great time to hop in and meet some new friends. This is a nice surprise to see because the clans have been in the game since launch. It was super exciting at first, but then they just kinda sat there. Hawthorne didn't really get many updates and the system, like they said, was just the same. So hopefully this will spice things up a little bit. Fireteam Finder will be moving out of beta. Earlier this week, they removed the beta tag from Fireteam Finder. They're thrilled to reach this important milestone, with the feature set and performance reaching a place where they're more comfortable moving it into its full release. When the feature released in beta back in December, they were pleased to see players immediately connect, forming fire teams and tackling all types of content together. They continue to work hard to make improvements and iterate based on the community's feedback, including Destiny Companion app and Bungie.net integration, updated roster tabs, improved screen-to-screen flow, adding emojis to listing titles, onslaught and 0-hour options, and much more. They plan to continue to develop and improve the Fireteam Finder just as they have in these past few months. In the near term, a couple of new features include voice chat and lobby invites that you can look forward to. They want to give a big shout out to the community for helping them test this through the beta and to keep sharing your feedback. Destiny 2 Into the Light in Year 10. With this Into the Light update, they've introduced a variety of activities and rewards to celebrate the lead up to the final shape. This includes a blend of limited time content with activities and rewards that will continue to be available to players after the event ends. They'd like to give us a full breakdown on the content plan leading up to the final shape. To start, we're going to highlight the content that will be only available during Destiny 2 Into the Light. The Pantheon activity and emblems. Pantheon is this new raid boss gauntlet available April 30th to June 3rd. With this mode, they wanted to create a unique and challenging event players could test their skills against prior to this big battle in the final shape. Pantheon will offer a chance to earn a variety of emblems, and similar to the limited time emblems made available in the past in, say, contest raids, they expect the exclusivity of the emblems will make them highly sought after. The same goes for the Pantheon seal and title. The Godslayer title earned through the Pantheon event and the Brave title will be disappearing with the arrival of the new expansion. Brave Arsenal limited edition variants. As previously mentioned, the limited edition variants of the Brave Arsenal weapons will be only available until June 3rd. And lastly, the Hall of Champions and associated quests. So the Hall itself, Arcite quest, armor chest, and weapon attunement will no longer be available on June 3rd. While this little social space will have served its purpose as the base of operations, some of the content associated with the champions, like the parade armor sets, will still be available in the future. The same goes for the Super Black shader, which will return at a later date. But of course, the best time to earn these rewards is now before that final showdown. As for the attunement experience, they really like what's going on, and they're already working on bringing back a new attunement experience for Brave weapons sometime during the Echoes episode. So that's pretty cool for those Guardians who love this attunement feature, and also it confirms that Echoes in those episodes are still in development. We haven't heard much about those in a while or the content after the final shape, so that's exciting to hear. Here's the content continuing after June 3rd. The Onslaught activity and its Brave Arsenal weapon rewards will move to Vanguard Ops as a dedicated playlist when the final shape releases. Super cool, Onslaught is very fun currently, and many players are enjoying it, so that's going to be sticking around in a playlist. Of course, all three of the brand new PvP maps arriving May 7th will be sticking around in Destiny 2. The reprised exotic missions will continue to be available and move to the Legends tab after June 3rd. The exotic weapons and catalyst rewards from these missions will also still be available to earn from Erismorn and Ada 1. And as they mentioned above, the armor and shaders added in Into the Light will be available after June 3rd. They'll have more details in the future on new ways you can earn these rewards, but for items that take a good deal of time to earn like Super Black, they want to make sure they honor that commitment when they do decide to bring it back. And if you are interested, you can join the Bungie Foundation today for their stream April 18th, which will be supporting the Ronald McDonald House and their Kilts for Kids campaign. I saw the Bungie Foundation was live earlier on Twitch. I'm not sure if they still are, but I'm sure you could still support this cause. You can find that stream over at twitch.tv/Bungie Foundation. Anyway, Guardians, that's all we got for today's video. A quick update on This Week in Destiny for April 18th. If you'd like to see some Destiny news, lore, and mysteries like this video, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.
Do not eat the elderly. Some people are saying the elderly are just like you and me. Now, I'm not here to make any claims that would get us a funny little yellow mark on this video, but I'm just saying, if there's room to doubt, we really ought to be thinking about that with facts and logic, TM. Hello everybody and welcome to Calbus. My name is Lumo and today we're looking at r/InspiroBot, motivational quotes generated by a robot that is struggling to comprehend its own sanity. So let's just get right into it. Parents ruin everything fun. Real. It really depends on the parents. Mine were pretty chill. I love my parents. When you are being strangled, don't forget to breathe. Why does this feel like a helpful tip that someone on TikTok would find out about after, like, accidentally putting a plastic bag on their head and being like, whoa, guys, isn't that weird? Don't do that. And they act like they're the first person who discovered it. You are a sperm wizard! You ought to be in the basement. This is what I'm gonna start calling black mages in Final Fantasy, and arcane mages in WoW. You know, we play both sides of the fence here on Kelbis. Hook up with a dog! No, don't do that. And why is it on a bunch of COVID-19 vaccines? What? There's too much to unpack here. Never French kiss losers, it's just a bad idea. Hey guys, I don't know how to tell you this, but cooties are real. And this is just trying to make sure you don't get them. Life on Earth, the most disgusting tragedy known to man. No, it's not. Life is finite and therefore beautiful, regardless of how hard it is. There is something lovely about its temporary nature. The moment we just had will never happen again, and the seconds that just passed will never come back. Subscribe to Kelbis. Patreon.com. Let's keep going.
Möbel Martin präsentiert die Esszimmer-Trendmesse.
You are credible, but not as credible as a donut. I mean, he's in light pink armor. Like, I gotta trust Donut. He knows what's up. All you need to capture your audience is other people and a tranquilizer. Look, I need to state this. Captive audience is about people who are obligated to sit there and cannot leave due to social obligations. You, under no circumstances, are supposed to go out and capture the audience. Please, keep on showering. Signs I'm hanging up outside of the next Smash Brothers locals. What is it about Smash Brothers, man? Someone snuck a crab in. People should have smelled that a mile away and they didn't. And that upsets me. Someone threw a crab. They can change you, they can let go of you, but they can never take away your hat. And yet this man walks along the crest of the duned sand, the screaming silica raging across the surface, with nary a single scrap of fabric upon his brow. He is a hypocrite, a liar. Social media influencers are toys. You know, I watch a lot of VTubers, and I made a joke once of, I can fix her. And then another audience member went, don't, you'd take away my court jester. And I think about that exchange a lot. Quit coming! What is this image? Why is she being shot by Dr. Doofenshmirtz? Suck! I like when it just breaks and there's just no context. Like, was this a pyrocynical commission? We just won't know. A freak can just decide to all of a sudden not be a freak. Only if they know. Only if they know. I don't know how to take this one. All of these just have so much to unpack, and it kills me because I don't know how to unpack them. Why shit yourself? You know, sometimes you just need to remind yourself that life can get worse. And then the turtle peaks and that's all she wrote. I'm sorry. This feels like the termination of, what's it called? A termination of a Disco Elysium conversation string of just Kim going, Detective, why shit yourself? Just trying to figure out why you did that. You are hot like a cardboard box. I mean, anything can be hot if you light it on fire, so realistically speaking, everyone's got that spark in them to become the sexiest thing imaginable, even if only for an instant. Get ready for pee and shit! Really? Really? I'm sensing a theme in the posts that have been chosen for me. And I question, is there an underlying motive here? Is there something I should be aware of? Are we doing a pee-pee poo-poo funny ha-ha? Many questions. If you're gonna be a clown, be an elite clown. Real. If you want to be an elite clown, just get a business degree. I listen to a lot of I jokingly call it influencer grind set music, but it's like that very motivational, like self-assured, like hard rock music. I'm convinced these are songs written for failing business majors. Because they all talk about sealing the deal. And that's not abstracted, that's genuinely a line that almost all of these songs use at least once. I'm convinced it's for depressed business majors. There's nothing like the smell of lead poisoning in the morning. Is this... is this about Soldier Team Fortress 2? Canonically a man poisoned by lead? Though theoretically, we're pretty sure there was something still wrong with him beforehand. But genuinely, is this about Soldier Team Fortress 2? Comments, let me know. How about some cake? There was this more horrifying period of my life where I would go into the grocery store to buy my groceries for meal prep, and I would see a cake and go, I could buy that cake and I don't need a reason to. I'm my own man. I can buy that cake. And I have to walk away every time. I'm still in that phase of my life. I could just buy a cake. I could just buy a goddamn cake. Cry. You know, I'm glad someone finally told me to. I've got about 10 years of bottled emotions I can finally let out. Thanks, InspiroBot. Screw up more often! Real! The only way to learn is to fail. You can learn concepts, but you can't learn it hard until you try and fail or try and succeed. But remember, you have to learn. A loss is just a failure if you don't learn anything from it. So make sure to screw up more often. If one wishes to save the world, one has to be horny. I get a lot of flack behind the scenes for my genuine, degenerate demeanor half the time. But I knew I was right. I want to save the world, and I got the mindset for it. Holy crap, here comes equality! Yeah, tornadoes don't care who you are. You're just debris to them. What do you get when you combine a movie and an illegal drug ring? Eggs. Kinder eggs, honestly. And that's all the time we have here today on Calbus. Let us know down below which bot was your favorite. I like the one that just said cry. If you don't want more /InspiroBot, there'll be another popping up on your screen in just a couple of seconds. But until then, my name has been Lumo, and I'll see you in the very next Calbus video. Have a great rest of your day.
This sort of front on looks fairly flat, but when you reach in or look in, you notice that it's definitely not flat. And I want to paint a scene in this so that when you place your head in a certain position, it brings the whole scene to life. And first things first, we need to make a stand for this so I can actually paint on it. So I'm going to get Murray's help to see if we can secure this ready for painting.
Alright, it is time to make a thing for Jazza. And I have a rough sketch, as we can see here. Wood. Aha!
Fishbowl.
And here we're cutting it out.
Now, thanks to Murray, I have a very robust stand for my spherical painting, and I also realised I have a really great grid to follow for reference. My faux brick wall, which is also the acoustic panelling in this room, it's a set of very convenient, straight, horizontal and vertical lines that I can use as a reference. So now you're looking through the first person perspective, so basically I can follow these lines as a reference for battlements of a castle, so we can look out over the edge of an expanse, a big landscape. Then I just need some things between the midground and the foreground, and I thought that these C-stands would be pretty good references. Because of these overhanging bars, I can also create a sort of archway that I can reference for the opening looking out at the view. Now from where you're looking, it just looks like the lines, but if you get closer and sort of look up, you'll see that we'll be able to paint the full archway of the perspective. There's quite a lot that you'll see. So let's chuck some adventurers in our scene, shall we? Hey Jen, are you busy?
Yeah, really busy.
Too busy to wear a costume for 10 minutes?
Nah.
Okay, let's go. Hey Tom.
Yes?
You know how they say not all heroes wear capes? And you know how I always tell you you're my hero? Today you get to wear a cape.
Okay.
Let's go.
Warum muss immer alles teurer werden? Bei uns bleibt dein Preis, auch in allen Prepaid-Tarifen. Zum Beispiel in der Prepaid AllNet Flat M jetzt mit 10 GB für 10 €. Kongstar.
It's adventure time. Well, so what I'm thinking is, Tom, I'll get you here. I reckon if you're like facing more towards it and like shouting like, we're under attack or something like that, okay. You'll be on the inside of the archway, you'll be at the outside, and I'm thinking if you're like standing looking up with the sword out, because I'll put a big old dragon there in front of you. Now, this was a really tricky process. I had to close one eye and keep my head as still as possible because moving even millimeters moved those lines away from where I'd traced them. So I was constantly resetting myself back into position and occasionally needing to reposition my models back into where I had originally traced them. With that as a template in place, I can put my head exactly where the perspective will be and draw the outline of the environment around them. All right, I think this is actually really starting to work. Let's see if I can give you a first person perspective. So this is roughly where my eye was. And as you can see, the lines of my perspective generally follow the lines of these bricks as I sort of look around, even towards the ground. And as you can see, like even just doing this with the camera, you can get this real feel for being in a place and looking around. The grid has served me as much as it can serve me now. So I'm gonna head over to this white expanse so I can just have a clearer backdrop behind me. Next, I need to retrace all this drawing that I've done on the outside because I need to be able to sand the inside so my acrylic paint will stick to it, and then I need to paint. I'm going to start in the very distant background and work my way to the foreground. I'm going to find where the horizon is, doing a rough sketch of where I'll put some mountains and some scenery and bringing the depth of our environment to life. Now, this first layer goes down pretty thin. I had originally sort of wondered if it would be best to work with oil paints, which, like in Bob Ross paintings, you can do the whole thing in sort of one layer. But I thought it'd be best to work with this Scale Color Artist acrylic paint, which is really matte, and even though it dries a lot quicker, I want to use that to my advantage and work in layers to sort of build up texture and detail. So after putting down one layer and giving it a really solid drying session with a heat gun, I come in for the second layer and focus on blending and smoothing out these transitions and then slowly building up vibrancy and contrast. As you can see with the colors, I really have just gone as colorful as I can. I want this whole thing to be really immersive and vibrant. I mean, what's the point of making a three-dimensional world you can sort of step into if it isn't something awe-inspiring or that you don't see every day? So a glowing amber sun-rising sky with lavender mountains and cool blue shadows and massive vast fields of trees working their way towards the foreground gives me a huge mix of colors, ranging from yellow to orange, lavender, purple, blues, and then greens in the midground. Okay, so I've come back, it's the next day, and I'm feeling really good about this, mainly because I walk into the room and as soon as I start approaching the piece, it starts enveloping me. Even like the way it sort of warps into your view and beckons you in is really exciting. Also, I'm really proud of the environment so far, just as a painting in itself. But now I'm gonna work on doing all of the castle around it, and I wanna work with the lighting that I've set up in here and making sure I'm working with shadow and maybe adding other light sources to make this whole piece feel really immersive. Starting off with just a base layer on all of the castle surfaces, but also outline the key lighting areas. Because I'm focusing on some really rich ambient lighting with that sunrise up in the background, I want to make sure to emphasize that with shadows in the scene and accurate lighting on the surfaces wherever possible to make this as immersive as I can. Also starting to allude to and leave areas on the inner castle wall for where I can put some fire later and emphasize an internal light source inside the castle. Now, before moving on to any finalizing or detailing, I want to redefine where those areas of detail are, from the arrangement of the bricks all around the castle to the direction and layout of the floorboards on the ground. Now onto the next layer, and for this step I'm going to take every section to completion, starting off with the front of the battlements of the castle, slowly introducing some natural stony texture with the brush strokes and picking up some shadows and highlights as I go. Next come the floorboards, and this is going to be particularly tricky because I want it to all look like one surface, and it's going to be hard to do that where there's clearly a really distinctive shadow line, and I don't want it to look like separate objects, but I really want to push it into the background visually and focus more on that warm wood feel. After a couple of layers for both of these and muting those original lines, I go in with a thin brush and alternate the tone of my wood colors to create alternating plank colors. Now onto the stonework inside our castle structure. As you can see, my washed out base color is much lighter than everything ends up, but it gives me a really solid area to sort of work on top of and then build contrast into. Like I did with the battlements, slowly introducing that rocky texture and then working my way towards slowly mixing in subtle oranges as we slowly paint towards where the fire source is going to be. And then it's a matter of going throughout the rest of my castle wall and adding the final textures and details and the nice golden glowing highlights of the edges facing our sunrise. Last but not least, to finish off our environment, I go back to the background where I have those trees and add some nice mid-green and then light sap green highlights on the tree branches to again accentuate that sunrise off in the distance. After 2 full days painting this, my brain is slowly breaking, but also my mind is being blown. Like, it works so well. And I'm really particularly proud of the difference in lighting between the outer castle wall area, the cool of the shadow, and then the warmth of the shadows in the internal stonework reflecting the fire. Separate to the experiment of this whole dome painting thing, this is one of my most proud paintings. Like, I'm really proud of having taken my time to really focus on the lighting and the environment and how that all plays into each other to make it an immersive scene. I really hope that you're enjoying this video. It's certainly hard work to pull off, but I think I'm pulling it off and I really hope it's entertaining you. And if you love my content and you'd like to support what I do, check out the jazzerstudios.com shop. I've got custom Photoshop brushes and an awesome digital painting course, and I've just released my character design video masterclass, a really extensive guide to character design, which is something I'm most known for on this channel. And I go into real depth, including all of the lessons on all of the character design material I've ever put together in my book and in my online classes, including a huge amount of new material to help you take your character design to the next level. So check it out, jazzerstudios.com. Whether you get something for yourself or simply hit like or leave a friendly comment down below, thank you so much for being a part of this community and supporting what I do. So with that said, it's time to jump back into our painting. Let's start off by finishing off the last pieces that we have unpainted in our canvas here. Now, all the previous areas I've painted so far covered a lot more space and detail that was sort of spread around. These two characters are a much more key focal point, so obviously taking up a lot less space, but going to need a lot of attention to detail in their lighting. Starting off with the male figure in the foreground on the left and putting down the base colors of all of the different areas to act as a foundation. And this is the scariest phase because it looks the ugliest. Just that thin, not quite opaque layer of paint in all the areas makes it look really flat and makes me really worried about what it's going to end up looking like. But it's the next stage where I go section by section once that first layer is dried and slowly build up the detail and the lighting and the form to make it look immersive and three-dimensional.
Da muss ich immer lachen. Also wie Leute denken, dass dieses AI-Ding an denen vorbeigeht. Da ist jetzt gerade Sora rausgekommen. Du musst einfach nur einen Text eintippen, dann kommen solche Videos raus, bis zu 1 Minute Länge, ja. Jedes Jahr verdoppelt sich die Hardware-Qualität.
Now on to our female adventurer standing atop the battlements looking over the horizon. And like with our other character, starting with that base layer that makes everything look a little bit uncertain and scary, and then slowly rebuilding my confidence as I go in with the coming layers to add the finishing details in the texture and contrast. I am loving how this is all looking, and I have alluded all the way along to putting a dragon in here, which I'm gonna do next, but I want it to be more of a garnish to the whole piece, because this is all working so well for me. So I want the dragon to be something that brings it all together, but doesn't take away from everything that I've so carefully built up over many days of painting this so far. Even though it is technically finished, it's not quite finished yet because, as you can see, it's still a little bit see-through. So what I need to do next is paint the reverse of my semi-sphere here, just to make sure I can block out light, but back it with golds and oranges for the skies, lavenders for the mountains, oranges and greys for the castle, and so on. Now there's a few key areas I just want to make sure to manually block off, such as the armor that has reflectiveness, and I don't want it to see through to any unpredictable colors. But aside from those few key areas, the rest I can block out from behind with colored aerosols to create a solid color backing to suit the general areas behind all of the painting that I've done. And finally, with my painting fully blocked with the right colors from behind, it is now done, ready to frame and bring you into the immersive acrylic dome painting that I've created. A whole world that you can now enter and be immersed in with me. And here it is, my finished dome painting. I went into this having no idea if I could pull it off. Now I want to give credit to Steven Novak, who made a TikTok that popped up in my feed that actually inspired me doing this in the first place. So he's done a few of these dome paintings, and in his TikTok he sort of showed how he creates this whole laser pointing system to really accurately map the 3D space outside of the acrylic dome into the acrylic dome to create really immersive 3D paintings. And while I don't think I have the laser accuracy of someone experienced, as a first attempt, I'm incredibly proud of how this turned out, and just really enjoying that feeling of having a piece of art that really interacts with you as you move around it. Like when you're further away and you walk into the room and you walk towards it. This has been a real adventure. On a canvas I have zero experience with, and an outcome I'm really proud of. Please hit the like button, it really helps out the channel, and of course consider subscribing. I love tackling all sorts of art challenges, taking risks, and seeing where we end up, because sometimes if you put the work in, even the unexpected approaches can turn into a grand adventure. Thanks for watching.
What is up, guys? It's your boy Breaking News Cacus, and today, or I should say literally just now, we have some brand new information involving the Final Shape DLC launch, more specifically the Final Shape raid, and more. And so, let's get started. Now, all of this information is coming from Twitter, or I guess X, and the Destiny 2 team official Twitter account, which is kind of the community outreach account for Bungie. They just retweeted a thread by Katrina Macedo. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Now, who is that? Well, as you can see right here, she is the project lead of Destiny 2 expansions at Bungie. So that's a pretty big deal. And what she's doing is providing, again, brand new Final Shape information as a response to the community reaction over yesterday's news. So if you're a little bit out of the loop, I would highly recommend watching my Destiny 2 news video that came out yesterday, going over this raid announcement, my and frankly many other people's reaction to it, as well as some other information like how they're massively buffing the drops for Onslaught, again linked right up above. But to quickly summarize, there's only going to be 3 days between the start of the final shape expansion and the day 1 raid. And we used to have this many years ago, but Bungie has since changed that to allow people more time to get ready, more time to actually experience the expansion and not just furiously level. And so basically you have half the community saying, you know, I don't want to have to like blast through this content just to get raid ready. I don't want this. And the other half going, sounds like a skill issue to me. Pretty classic gamer community situation going on right now. But here is the additional information now that we have that groundwork, the lore about what's going on. So Katrina says, hey everyone, I want to talk to you about why the Final Shape raid is going live shortly after release on June 7th. We know this is a tight turnaround and wanted to share some context on why we made this decision. Back in August, we said that finishing the campaign would not be the grand finale of the Light and Darkness saga. You will be facing off against the Witness in the raid. And for non-raiders, there will be an opportunity for everyone to experience the conclusion sometime after the raid. Now she continues, the Final Shape expansion is different. The additional content in the Pale Heart post-campaign and unlocking the raid for everyone is important for getting a cohesive and satisfying story experience. We're looking at you raiders to be the tip of the spear. And she says even more, when raid day arrives, no matter if you choose to go in for contest mode in the first 48 hours or wait for normal mode to unlock, in order to experience the story linearly and as intended, you will need to have the campaign completed and finish the quest wildcard. Prioritize those. And then we end off here with Episode Echo's story, the beginning of the next journey, starts in week 2. So, a lot to unpack there. Let's go over it. Now, first of all, if there was any doubt in your mind as to what the raid boss would be, Bungie just straight up answered it. We are facing the Witness in the raid. But additionally, Bungie is really stressing here that the raid is an integral part of the Final Shape story. We've kind of had this before in the Taken King, where we went through the campaign, killed Oryx, and then we did the King's Fall raid and kind of killed him again. But in this instance, it really seems like no, like we will not kind of kill the Witness in the campaign. The actual proper conclusion to the story will be in the raid, with Bungie literally saying, if you want to experience the story linearly and in its complete nature, you have to do the campaign and then the raid in that order, right? And so that is really interesting. I speculated on this somewhat yesterday as like maybe the reason for the quick turnaround is that it's just continuing the story right into the raid. And this also brings up quite a few questions about difficulty. If it is supposed to be the actual story conclusion, if it's supposed to be the climax after the campaign to this overarching story, potentially we will see this Final Shape raid being on the easier side just so that people can properly experience that storyline. Maybe not in contest mode. Contest mode is still likely to be pretty challenging, but in normal mode, maybe it'll play out more like some of the easier raids we've seen in the past, maybe like a Ron type raid, aka Root of Nightmares. Now, another interesting thing is that they confirmed the 48-hour contest mode period. Bungie actually said nothing about it being 48 hours yesterday. I don't know why they do that, but today it was confirmed 48 hours for contest mode to get those, you know, I still say day 1 emblems, but they're contest mode emblems for the raid. But aside from that, guys, the other extremely interesting piece of information was the mention of episode echoes. So if you're wondering, What the heck is episode echoes? Well, you can see it right here. It's one of 3 announced, they call them episodes, but they seem like kind of extended seasons that are going to be arriving after the final shape, with echoes being the first one. You can see it includes a new exotic weapon, new exotic mission. You have Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. Each act is going to add more quests, more weapons, etc. And this is going to begin week 2. So June 4th, the final shape comes out, which means on June 11th, Echoes is going to begin. And that's a very quick turnaround. 1 week to conclude the Light and Darkness saga, and then literally the next reset, boom, the witness is dead or not, I don't know the conclusion, but that story concludes and we're on to the next thing. 1 week later, which is pretty crazy, guys. Now, we usually do have some sort of season alongside a major expansion, right? We almost always do. But normally, it is not this week delay. They launch at the same time. So it is kind of interesting that it's just the final shape. The final shape and technically no season, right, until that second week. Now, this brings up another interesting question, actually, which is, well, if there's no season starting for a week, will we have access to some seasonal stuff like the seasonal artifact? Well, someone actually asked that question and Katrina responded. So right here she says, good question. You'll get progression on your artifact and season pass from day 1 of the final shape launch. So that is, I'm thankful she kind of really confirmed that, because that was the next really worrying point. Like, oh my goodness, are we gonna have to raid with no seasonal artifact perks? But there you go, starting day 1, you're gonna be able to progress that season's pass, which also means you're gonna get access to whatever the new season's pass exotic is, potentially for the raid, which is another important thing. And I want to end things off here with one more reply from Katrina. So someone asked about this whole subject, genuinely curious, wasn't there a worry that players would feel like they need to speedrun the campaign instead of savoring so they're raid ready, especially with non-stable servers? I really wonder how much we'll be able to enjoy playing pre-weekend. And she replies, it was definitely a worry. We had to balance many factors, time for preparedness, contest being as fair as possible, game stability, the looming threat of the witness on the universe, time gating or not content, story cohesion, balance concerns, etc. So it looks like, Bungie is acknowledging that, yeah, like there's definitely some downsides to having it 3 days away. But again, it really sounds like the main reason is narratively, right? It's like we have this overarching story, and if you play the campaign and you're done, and you have to wait a week for the raid, you're going to be sitting around feeling maybe unsatisfied, right? Like you didn't get a proper conclusion. The conclusion is actually in the raid. So that is pretty interesting. And again, speculate as to how difficult that's going to be if it's such an important part of the story. Like I said earlier, I would kind of expect it to be easier. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's going to be the hardest raid ever. I also expect it to be a massive finale. It's probably going to be one of the biggest raids we've ever seen. Like I can't imagine them ending off with a small raid with not too many bosses. So we'll really have to see, guys. But that is some brand new information and really kind of an interesting way of rolling out an expansion that we haven't seen before. The lack of a season until that second week, the conclusion, and then already beginning a new storyline in the second week. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. Guys, that's it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you
Hello all, Rick here with an index video on the Davidians. I was hoping there would be a little more on them, but they maintain their creepy ghost-like lore, even amid Apocrypha, where they have had a huge impact, but I'll cover that later. For now, let's start with their origin. The Davidians' home planet is Davidia 2 in the Davidia system, located in the Marab sector. The surface consists of breathable air and average gravity, although it can barely be described as an M-class world. There is a consistent cloud cover and the surface appears barren. Beneath the surface, the caves were expansive and likely the homes of any native populace. Beaming down, however, you would not locate any inhabitants, as the Davidians, all their technology and tools, were phase shifted out of the universe's time-space continuum by 0.004 seconds. Describing this as their homeworld is also kind of inaccurate, as it might be where the species originated, but they're more at home outside of regular space-time, as they are both a time-travelling species and a multiverse-spanning entity. They live in small communal settlements around feeding rifts, and seemingly are ambivalent towards interlopers, almost completely ignoring them. This is likely because they're used to being overlooked, as they seem to be able to observe into our timeline while sitting comfortably apart from it, and have grown complacent when existing out of phase. This phased existence is similar to how the Pegasus's phase cloak would have worked, meaning that they are naturally very hard to detect, with only the energy signature of their equipment being discernible to sensors. Biologically, they are described as energy beings, but still constructed of physically discernible limbs and even a visible skeletal structure of some description. They vary between 2 to 3 meters and are humanoid, with elongated limbs and translucent glowing blue skin. They sometimes sport spines or growths on their limbs, and while their faces are featureless with only the faintest suggestion of bone structure underneath. They have a mouth near the top of the head which ingests energy directly. They have 5 fingers and 6 toes, and have been observed both walking on their emaciated limbs and gliding along. In terms of nourishment, they can absorb several energy types, but we have primarily seen their pursuit of neural energy in canon, while similar energies can also provide a feast. Their entire culture seems geared around the pursuit of this nourishment, with them dispatching scouts to find and procure energy sources for the rest of their commune. As beings of energy, at least in some regard, it seems they're capable of shapeshifting their form into corporeal states to mimic other humanoid life, as well as apply this to their equipment. But it's unknown if this is a quirk of their nature or some technology. They do have a discernible cell structure too, and are immune to many radiation types, so whatever form they exist in, it is rather unique. But speaking of their technology, which just like them is rather strange, let's take a look. It's triolic based, the waves of which are detectable across phased existences because of how they interact with space-time. But the tools we see them use appear to be organic in nature, or at least the same organic energy forms as they are. The Ophidian creature we see them use is capable of similar feats of disguise as they are, and in its natural state also exhibits the same phased blue glow. Like much of the Davidians, its origin too is unknown, but it could be a creature native to Davidia, or a biological tool they engineered, as this is also within their wheelhouse. It is intriguing to speculate that all of Davidia might actually be shrouded in an array of phased-out lifeforms, just never perceivable to anyone outside of their plane of existence. They also employ larger snake-like creatures, some rivaling starships in scale, that can exist in space and can be deployed for combat. These were dubbed the Naga, named for the divine half-human half-serpent from Hinduism and several other religious mythologies, and were created from the augmentation of the Ophidians with Traveller DNA. The Ophidian can create small disruptions to space-time, which the Davidians then amplify and focus with triolic wave patterns to form temporal vortices, a portal to any location within space or time, and then step through. They target locations where they can secure a good source of nourishment, but take great pains to hide their encroachment from other temporal agencies that would seek to prevent their meddling. Ergo, they engage in very vampire-like behaviour of targeting lone individuals, keeping their operations undercover and evading detection for as long as possible to avoid reprisal. They send the collected energy back through their vortex to their society, which feeds on the energies. Now, as with most time-travelling civilizations, this too means that they ended up with a degree of timeline hopping too, which led to a cataclysmic event later on in the book chronology of Star Trek. Spoilers for the Coda series ahead, but eventually they learned they could feed on the neural energies in vast quantities produced by particularly unstable timelines. These were timelines that frequently splintered and produced a myriad of alternate realities, such as the first Splinter timeline, of the majority of the books. They employed the same triolic wave-induced manipulations as they used to, except this time they targeted the weak spots of a timeline, eventually shattering it completely in a way that preserved the neural energies of those within it. This then allowed them to feed on the entire energy of a timeline. By consuming these myriad of what-if realities, they empowered themselves enough to seek out another fractured timeline, consume that, and move on. In this way, they became a multiversal threat over a few decades as they collapsed entire parallel realities in their feeding frenzy. Their perception of the multiverse rendered them incapable of being reasoned with, not only because they viewed life as merely a food source, but because the Davidians would reason that there would always be more timelines being made, so what did it matter if entire universes were collapsed? The Davidians are a spooky species that, like the Borg, I'm not entirely sure I want explained in their totality. I like the mysterious origins, and although Star Trek is best when it finds common ground with former adversaries, sometimes it's also fun to have the creepy ghost aliens that drain someone's life force. No, Crusher, calm down, not those ones. Thanks for watching this breakdown of the Davidian lore and their impact on the Star Trek universe. This video might have been inspired because I just completed an unrelated video game that dealt with multiverses and ghostly things, and it got me in the mood to tackle something similar. So until the next Index video, thanks for watching, I've been Rick and I'll see you later. Until then, goodbye.
Greetings, I'm Shad, and in this episode of Functional Fandom, we're going to be testing a very classic trope in not only just fantasy, but this also appears in so many different movies, and it's a trope of shooting an arrow but with a rope tied to it for any number of reasons. Will it even work? Is this actually something that you could probably do? And we're testing this with a proper 100-pound warbow here, and we're trying to make this as like a fair test representation as possible. So we found some great, like it's strong, naturally made, you know, actual rope, okay, but it's very thin rope, very light. And so out of any type of rope, this one should impact the arrow the least because it's so thin and light. But I think this would still hold the weight of a person. This is like really good, strong stuff, okay? Get in close and have a look at, this is some good rope, right? If this arrow has trouble flying through the air with this type of rope tied to it, imagine how much trouble it would have with a thicker, heavier rope. Okay, and so you can kind of extrapolate and get an idea based on the test that we're going to do. The trope of shooting an arrow with rope tied to it is done in so many movies, right? And it's usually to get it lodged, usually in wood or something, okay? So people legitimately swing from it, get pulled up from it. Sometimes there's a handhold and things. Is that even possible? Will it stick in? Will it break? And if it sticks in, how strongly? Let's get to the first test. So part of the issue that we're going to face, which is not addressed in so many movies, is the fact that the likelihood of the rope getting tangled, because what we want, and we see this with like harpoon guns and things, the rope is tied on the gun so specifically that it unravels perfectly evenly as it shoots. But we don't really see this in movies. In movies, it's just assumed that the rope is fine. It's just there and it shoots. Because if this hits like a bit of a knot or something as it launches, and instead of just pulling on a thin strand of rope as it progressively flies into the air, and it needs to pull on a larger clump of rope that's much more heavy like this, that's going to yank the arrow down and stop it in its flight completely. I think that is going to be one of the biggest limitations that we're going to see. And this rope right here is mostly untangled, but it's not perfectly. It's not like it's wrapped on a harpoon rope. But like if this was one of the different situations where an adventurer just quickly, rope, tie to arrow, shoot, okay, they don't have time to unravel rope perfectly. And this rope is far less tangled than a lot of ropes would be if it just had the ordinary person. Granted, it's actually a fairly long one, so I'm going to try and just put it down in a fairly even way to help it unravel gradually as I shoot, and I need to grab one end of it. Okay, now the other big thing or problem with this concept of shooting an arrow with rope tied to it, let's say perfect situation, you can shoot it, the arrow stays attached, it lands in the target, and then you want to swing from it, support your weight on it and everything. Fixing the rope to the arrow in such a way that it wouldn't just rip off the arrow is a big problem. Most people just tie it around, but in actual reality, if you wanted the most secure way for this to be attached, you'd probably need a hole through the arrow and loop the rope through it. But we'll see, because I'm gonna wrap this up with a very generous wrapping, okay? We're gonna do a pretty big one, which will create a lot of friction and attachment to the rope. Are we ready? Let's do this. All right, that's almost exactly as I predicted. It shot, right? And as soon as it hit a knot over here that couldn't unravel properly, the entire weight of the rest of the rope just pulled the arrow to a complete standstill. And how far did I even get that? Like, let's just compare this with a normal arrow, okay? So let's just shoot a normal arrow to compare distance here. Don't worry, we'll try the test again, but we have already found the biggest flaw with this trope, almost to the point where I'm not sure how plausible it is. But ready? Just this one right here. I don't know how far that is, but that was fun. I'm going to shoot another one. It's always fun shooting long range. I enjoy it. I'll try and get a cleaner release, because distance is always an interesting thing. All right, we've got my measuring wheel here. Let's actually see how far the arrow shot with the most generous circumstances we could get. Really light, thin rope, okay? Completely unspooled, so there was no knots that it would get caught on. And with all that, there was still so much drag on the arrow that it shot, let's have a look, 20.4 meters. Let's compare that to one of the unrestricted shots. So 112 meters to these areas here. And so with just this setup, it's interesting how much further different setups and warbows can shoot, because I know there are other warbows that could easily shoot 200 meters, right? But anyway, we can still do an accurate comparison with the rope compared to these. Same arrows, same bow. 20 meters versus 112. Now, I have shot arrows from that bow up to 150 easy, and so actually we are shooting uphill as well. That'll restrict it. Have a look, ready? This is what happened. We just got a tangled mess now of rope. Oh, this is horrible. Like, ugh. This is a mess. I'm wanting to try and untangle as much length as I can now to get a shot where it won't hit a knot and just be dragged down by all this rope together. But look, oh, this is such a mess now. Okay, so we want to try this again. And this time we've unraveled a length of rope just with even this. See it lying on the ground? Completely unraveled. There should be no real big, pullback with this light rope, just to see how far an arrow will shoot with a shorter piece of rope that's wholly unraveled in the most charitable interpretation of this test as we can do. So let's give it a go. Trying to get a cleaner release without the rope tangling up. Gosh, honestly, how would people be able to do this with the arrow on the inside? Like seriously, if the arrow's on this side, right, the rope would need to be sliding through. I have to lower it quickly and hopefully it wouldn't get caught on the bow. I think having it on the outside gives it much better chances of not getting tangled. Let's give this a go. That's interesting. Almost the whole length of the rope that we had. This is the end, okay. But wow, did that pull on it. Like, we're not even getting a fifth of the length of a normal shot. All right, so I'm just gonna say 20 meters versus 120, because I can easily hit 120 with these at a good shot without shooting uphill. And so, is that like with a really light rope, even from a warbow, but granted, again, these are heavy arrows, so I think we might get the similar results, even if we shot it from the 70-pound bow. 20 meters? Is that the functional, you know, generous distance that you could effectively shoot an arrow with a rope tied to it? Let me just try this one more time, see how far it goes without it hitting the shaft. I reckon that went further that time. Could you bring me the measuring wheel?
Same distance, I reckon.
You reckon same distance?
Yeah,
well, right here, reset, and let's find out. It's totally the drag on the arrow. Like even a light rope like this, tremendous drag. So this time, 25 meters. You know, I reckon that if you push it, you could probably reach 30 meters. And that's the most generous kind of thing with such a light rope. Even on a war bow. Granted, there are much more powerful war bows that can shoot further. And so, if you're being super generous, really powerful long-range bow, 40 meters? But that is not very far. And that's the thing. In movies and stuff, the arrows are usually never, you know, held back by the rope. I think that is completely debunked.
Thanks for visiting the Shadlands, the place to find quick and easy to watch sword-related content. This video was a supercut or clip from a larger Shadiversity video. If you'd like to see the full-length video, please click on the provided links, and I hope to see you in the future.
What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with the Xur inventory for the 19th of April. This weekend I'm actually away from home for a couple of days, so right here we've got the gameplay showing Xur's location and his inventory for the week, and I've got to give a big thanks to my friend Duddits for helping us out with this one. As he's kindly jumped in to get the gameplay, as he's kindly jumped in to get the footage and help us, as he's kindly jumped in to get the footage and put this video together for us today. But I figured a quick look at the inventory would help as always. So let us know what you think about Xur's So let us know if you're going to pick anything up from Xur this week. And additionally, feel free to check out Duddits' channel for a whole bunch of build content. Weapon and sandbox guides for Destiny. He's got some pretty awesome content. He's got some pretty awesome videos, so his channel's linked below. And otherwise, we'll return to the normal content flow shortly. Cheers for tuning in, guys. Cheers for tuning in. For now, though, cheers for tuning in, guys. And whatever you get up to, I hope you have an awesome day.
Into the Light, it's brought not only onslaught firefight modes, exotic missions returning, but also tons of new lore. Today in this video, we go over lore from 3 of the weapons. With the Midnight Coup, Saladin and Shaxx speak about Callus and Kydal. Luna's Howl, a Guardian gets some War Beast pups. And in Recluse, a Vice representative shows Lord Shaxx the brand new Recluse, and he feels a heartfelt connection to the first Queen's Wrath. Let's take a look. An arrow whined out of nowhere. It drove through his shoulder, penetrating his armor as though it were paper, not plasteel. No enemies on his tracker. So then where? The second arrow hit harder than the first, straight through his other shoulder, skewering the joint. He twisted his head, saw the arrowhead protruding through his pauldron, chuckled humorously, looked through the trees. The asteroids of the reef did not afford many hiding places, even those which had been terraformed to support plants and animals, so the shooter had to be... The third arrow penetrated his thigh. He laughed aloud. Transmat? His ghost suggested, a quiet voice in his mind. No, they started this. I'll finish it. Unable to lift any of his own weapons in defense, concerned that he might compromise his ghost if he made any attempt to heal himself with the light, Lord Shaxx began to limp toward the shooter's likeliest vantage. This was the work of a ballista, he supposed. Dark Age weaponry. Nothing else could hit so hard. As he tottered along, an awoken woman in the near distance seemed to rise from the forest floor. She cast aside her camouflage and stood straight. He stopped to gawk. She was as tall as he was, if not taller. Her bow, just a bow, an ordinary bow, was certainly taller. You're trespassing on awoken
Pass, Deal. Suche, was du siehst mit Google Lens. Hol dir jetzt dein Samsung Galaxy A55 inklusive
Territory Guardian, she called to him. Declare yourself. Who are you? He asked, astounded. I am the Queen's Wrath. Declare yourself. I will not ask again. She raised her bow, drawing it to its full capacity. He watched in amazement. It was just a bow, and she was just an ordinary awoken woman. And yet, you are a Tempest, he replied humbly. In the next instant, she killed him. It was the start of a beautiful friendship. So that was from the first Recluse Lore tab a long time ago. This showed us the relationship between Shaxx and Seer Ido and how they became super close friends. We've had some other connections throughout the years, but from new lore from the Into the Light Recluse, we get sort of an update on this connection. Per your request, Lord Shaxx. The Vice rep waved 2 fingers toward a nearby frame, which prompted it to open a metal suitcase on the table. Similar to your original design, the rep continued, with a few additions from our engineering team. She picked a speck of lint from the lapel of her couture jacket as she spoke. Shaxx examined the compact submachine gun, encased snugly in contoured foam. Seeing the weapon's profile stung him with memories, like an arrow through the shoulder. It's magnificent, he declared softly. She would have loved it. For a moment, the former warlord seemed lost in fond reverie. The Vice rep sat motionless at first, not wishing to disturb the legendary Titan's rare display of vulnerability. But then she decided to press her advantage. I hear the former Queen's Wrath was an impressive woman, she prompted. Lord Shaxx blinked, and the tenderness vanished from his eyes. He slammed the case shut. Give my compliments to your engineers, he replied gruffly. So it's great that these new weapons are getting some updated lore that hint back at those previous cards. When Shaxx saw the profile of the weapon, it said it stung him with the memories of Seer Ido, his friend, like an arrow through the shoulder, like she shot him in the first card. Let's now take a look at Luna's Howl. Now, Luna's Howl is not yet available in-game, but all the lore is on Ishtar Collective. Again, I'm going to start by reading the old version of the lore card. Yosef opened the door. Shaxx filled the hallway beyond. You look like hell, said the Crucible handler. Yosef scoffed. Get out of here. I have Hive to hunt, no time for Crucible today. Hive? You lost her on the moon? Yosef said nothing. You aren't the only guardian to leave loved ones behind on that rock. Shaxx held out a long, lacquered box. The gunsmith asked me to deliver this personally. What's Banshee thinking? I can't afford this. I took care of it. Scavenged parts from my personal collection. Yosef considered it a moment. It's a good gun. She was a good dog. This isn't a replacement, but it will help you finish your business with the Hive. Then I expect to see you back in the Crucible. We could use the inspiration. So Yosef, a guardian, lost his dog on the moon. They went to the moon together, and you can actually see the dog's collar as a little grave reminder near the Garden of Salvation entrance portal. In the new Luna's Howl lore, Yosef gets a new friend, or rather a couple of them. Yosef opened the door. Shacks filled the hallway beyond. "You look tired," said the Crucible handler, "but I have just the right thing to get you buzzing." "No time for Crucible," Yosef dissembled. "Another day." "I'll hold you to that, but that's not what I meant." Yosef said nothing. "I was speaking with Saladin," Shacks continued. "We were remembering all the people we left behind over the years. Your name came up." "Oh yeah?" Shacks held out a cardboard box, perforated with large holes. "The Valis asked me to deliver this." Yosef opened the box. At the bottom, in a nest of cloud accretions, were 2 sleeping warbeast pups. "They're not replacements," Shacks explained, "but we hope they bring some light back into your life." "They're perfect," Yosef said, his voice tender. "Thank you." "See them settled, then I expect you back in the Crucible to teach my pups a thing or two." And finally we have the Midnight Coup card. The original reads, "The conspirators came late in the night, skulking into my court while we were caroused. Gaul himself led the coup, and it was by his own Red Legion that they were arrested. Imagine my surprise to see the consul stride into my court so puffed up with pride. He took cheap pleasure hurling spittle in my face. We were frog-marched to the Leviathan under cover of darkness. There was to be no execution. Gaul and the consul feared the mob. They knew how tenuous their grip on power would be and how the people adored their god-emperor. Gaul dared not look me in the eye. What was the emotion on his face? Was it shame? How could he bear such hate for one who had been as a father to him? We were sealed inside the Leviathan and ejected into the furthest reaches of space, left to the same fate I had determined for the Council long ago. We were left to die." From the new card. "That's awfully ruthless, no?" Lord Shacks queried. "It's one thing to kill an enemy in combat, but executions, that's dirty business. I know from experience." Saladin grumbled, turning the elaborate hand cannon over in his hands. "I felt the same way at the time. I was content to let Callus rot away in deep space, drinking himself into oblivion." Saladin furrowed his brow. "But after Neomuna, after going tusk to tusk with the Shadow Legion, I wonder if his exile was mercy or weakness." "Careful, Valis," Shacks quipped. "Your Empress might not take kindly to that sort of talk." Saladin passed the hand cannon back to Shacks with an approving nod. "I doubt she feels differently, seeing her father change like that. Had to be harder in the long run." Shacks holstered the cannon. "Maybe so, but that's what sets Keitel apart. It's what sets the Vanguard apart, acting with honor, even at great cost to ourselves." "Sometimes our honor is the cost," Saladin rebutted, "and we better remember that on the other side of the portal." So there you have it, Guardians, some of the lore from this new Into the Light update. I didn't want to cover everything in one video. I want to kind of break it up, get you different stories and different moments. So if you'd like to see some more just like this, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. And thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.
Das ist jetzt echt nicht persönlich oder böse gemeint, aber hier gäbe es so viel zu korrigieren. Stattdessen wäre es echt besser, das ganze Ding einfach komplett neu zu zeigen.
Hallo.
Hallo alle miteinander, willkommen zurück zu Art Aid. Mein Name ist Marcel und ich habe eure Kommentare gelesen, keine Angst. Dieses Mal nehme ich mich dabei aktiv auf, während ich eure Bilder korrigiere und drüber zeichne, damit ihr besser sehen könnt, was passiert. Und außerdem ist das Video so einfacher zu bearbeiten. Gebt mir gerne Bescheid, ob ihr die Folgen so besser findet. Wir haben auch in der letzten Episode viele Bilder zum Kolorieren und Schattieren angeschaut, also habe ich mir gedacht, dieses Mal könnten wir wieder etwas Abwechslung reinbringen und Zeichnungen anschauen. Let's go! Okay, hier ist Eintrag Nummer 1 und das ist ziemlich sicher Wrath of Full Metal Alchemist, einer der coolsten Charaktere aus der Serie, mag ich sehr, vielleicht auch weil er mich so ein bisschen an meinen Opa erinnert, keine Ahnung. Die Nachricht, die mitgeschickt wurde, lautete, keine Ahnung, was falsch ist, aber irgendwie fühlt sich was falsch an. Nun, um es kurz zu machen, es ist die Pose und auch die Perspektive. Hier stimmen viele Details nicht überein. Besonders die Gliedmaßen wie die Arme sind viel zu steif. Verschiedene Bestandteile wie die Muskeln sehen auch ziemlich steif aus. Und aus dieser Perspektive sieht der Kopf vielleicht einigermaßen in Ordnung aus. Aber ich habe mir mal die Freiheit genommen, diese Pose mit einer 3D-Puppe nachzustellen, nur um euch zu zeigen, wie, naja, es eigentlich eine sehr seltsame und steife Pose für den Kopf ist. Das ist jetzt echt nicht persönlich oder böse gemeint, aber hier gäbe es so viel zu korrigieren, weil diese Pose so steif aussieht. Stattdessen wäre es echt besser, das ganze Ding einfach komplett neu zu zeichnen. Perspektive kann schwierig sein, das wissen wir alle, aber deshalb bin ich ja hier, um zu zeigen, wie das funktioniert. Lasst uns also mal zusammen machen. Zuerst mal, wenn du einen Körper in einer schwierigen Perspektive zeichnest, dann empfehle ich mal die Boxenmethode. Die habe ich in meinem Video zum Thema Körperzeichnen mal gezeigt. Die Verwendung von Boxen macht Perspektive sehr viel einfacher und dadurch versteht man es auch besser. So gehe ich persönlich diese Boxenmethode an. Ich zeichne gerne erstmal grob den Fluchtpunkt. Das macht es so ein bisschen einfacher zu beurteilen, in welche Richtung die Boxen geneigt sind. Muss nicht perfekt auf den Millimeter genau sein, es geht nur echt um eine grobe Richtlinie. Als nächstes zeichne ich die Boxen an sich, nämlich Brustkorb und Becken, weil das literally die Dreh- und Angelpunkte deines Körpers sind. Vielleicht ist dir auch aufgefallen, wie ich das Becken auch so ein bisschen nach vorne versetzt habe. Das liegt natürlich daran, dass deine Wirbelsäule gekrümmt ist. Das ist auch der Grund, warum deine Zeichnung so steif aussieht, weil du beides in einer Linie gezeichnet hast. Das Becken sollte ein bisschen weiter vorne sein. Als nächstes zeichne ich deine Gliedmaßen. Aber wenn ich sie zeichne, achte ich natürlich darauf, dass ich sie nicht kerzengerade zeichne, denn das würde steif aussehen. Genau wie beim Brustkorb und Becken versuche ich zu vermeiden, alles in einer geraden Linie zu zeichnen. Wenn du die Gelenke ein bisschen versetzt, wirkt das nämlich viel entspannter und natürlicher auf die Art und Weise. Und ja, ich denke mal, die meisten von euch wissen schon, wie es ab hier weitergeht. Das war immerhin der schwierigste Teil. Der Rest sollte etwas einfacher sein, weil ihr ja gerade schon rausgefunden habt, wo was genau hinkommt. Der Rest besteht eigentlich nur darin, die Details auf diese Boxen.
Gestern Abend habe ich mir was gewünscht von einem Stern. Und der Stern hat geantwortet.
Und Kreise anzuwenden. Du kannst hier jetzt also einfach einige Details reinzeichnen. Und ich weiß, das klingt eigentlich ganz schwierig, aber wenn du Referenzen benutzt, sollte das jetzt nicht so knifflig sein. Es ist hier wirklich keine Schande, sich zur Sicherheit nochmal verschiedene Muskeln anzuschauen und nachzuschlagen, damit du sie genau auf diese Skizze draufmalen kannst. Ich habe selbst 2 Bücher zu dem Thema gemacht. Das erste ist eher, falls ihr noch ins Thema Anatomie reinkommen wollt und ein bisschen was zum Nachschlagen braucht. Das andere ist ein Full-on-Anatomie-Buch. Das kann man theoretisch schon auf Amazon vorbestellen, das kommt erst noch raus, aber ihr könnt auch einfach darauf warten, dass ich demnächst ein Video zu dem Thema mache, wo ich euch das Buch ganz im Detail vorstelle. Für den Fall, dass ihr euch nicht spoilern wollt und so. Danke auf jeden Fall für die lieben Worte und alle, die es schon haben, aber schauen wir uns jetzt mal den nächsten Eintrag an. Okay, verurteilt mich jetzt nicht dafür, dass ich das ausgewählt habe, aber hier habe ich was wirklich Einfaches ausgesucht. Aber ja, lasst uns mal einen Blick drauf werfen. Diese Person hier sagt, sie hat Schwierigkeiten damit, Gesichtsmerkmale wie Augen, Nasen, Lippen und so weiter zu zeichnen. Deshalb ist dieses Komplettgesicht leer. Also, sie hat eigentlich überhaupt nichts gezeichnet, das wird also relativ einfach zum Korrigieren sein. Ich werde jetzt nicht mega viel Zeit an diesem Bild hier verbringen, weil es mehrere Videos von mir gibt, in denen ich erkläre, wie man Gesichter zeichnet und wie gesagt, ich habe auch schon ein ganzes Buch drüber geschrieben. Aber ich dachte mir, vielleicht möchtet ihr mal sehen, wie ich das Ganze live mache, ohne Schnitte und Animation, einfach mal um zu gucken, wie ich das angehen würde. Wir sind gerade bei so einer Dreiviertel-Ansicht wie hier, finden viele Leute das sehr tricky. Übrigens, was ich noch positiv anmerken wollte, ist, dass mir die Proportionen von den Köpfen, die du zeichnest, ganz gut gefallen. Die sehen nicht völlig schrecklich aus oder so. Ich finde, du hast da ordentliche Arbeit geleistet. Und das versuche ich jetzt zu beweisen, indem ich hier versuche, ein Gesicht reinzuzeichnen. Komm, lass mal zusammen versuchen. Okay, wie bei unserem vorherigen Bild werde ich zuerst mal dein Originalbild ein bisschen ausblenden. Ihr wisst schon, damit man besser sieht, was ich gerade mache. Wie ich gerade gesagt habe, beginne ich immer mit sehr groben Formen, weil ich zuerst rausfinden möchte, welche Form wohin gehört und welche Größe diese Formen haben. Du kannst sogar sehen, wie ich jetzt gerade diese Nase immer so ein bisschen korrigiere, weil die Proportionen wirklich so gut wie möglich sein sollten, bevor ich überhaupt ins Detail gehe. Vielleicht ist dir auch schon aufgefallen, dass besonders die Nase eine sehr 3D-artige Form hat, so wie ich sie hier gezeichnet habe. 3D zu zeichnen ist hier voll wichtig, nämlich dieses Gesicht ist ja in Perspektive, also müssen auch diese ganzen Formen genau dieselbe Perspektive haben. Okay, sobald ich jetzt mit diesen groben Formen fertig bin, radiere ich ganz leicht drüber und dann kann ich anfangen, ins Detail zu gehen. Also sei dir auf jeden Fall sicher, dass du diese ganzen Formen nicht komplett ausradierst, so ein bisschen sehen kannst, weil ich natürlich immer noch erkennen muss, wo was hingehört. Und das ist eigentlich alles. Wie gesagt, eigentlich voll das Anfängerwissen, aber ich dachte, es könnte trotzdem irgendwie hilfreich sein, mich mal beim Zeichnen so zu beobachten. Und ja, das ist das fertige Gesicht ohne Edits oder Schnitte. Die Details sind meiner Meinung nach immer sehr viel einfacher. Der schwierige Teil ist immer, die Perspektive dieser groben Formen richtig zu zeichnen und natürlich auch die Proportionen. Und wenn du besser darin werden willst, solche echten Gesichter zu zeichnen, empfehle ich dir die Loomis-Methode anzuschauen. Ich weiß, es sieht immer sehr einschüchternd und kompliziert aus, aber wenn du dich mal damit beschäftigst, wo was genau hingehört, dann kann das alles hier so viel einfacher werden, weil es einfach mathematisch ausgerechnet ist, wo was hinkommt. Und das ist halt akkurater, als irgendwie versuchen, per Augenmaß zu zeichnen. Und ein letzter Tipp, bevor wir das hier beenden, verwende vielleicht einen angespitzten Bleistift. Vergleiche einfach mal meine Linien mit denen, die du gezeichnet hast. Hier besteht ein richtig großer Unterschied. Winzige Details wie Augen zu zeichnen, wird praktisch unmöglich, wenn du mit so einer fetten Linienstärke wie diese hier zeichnest. Und nur so aus Spaß habe ich mal eine Version gemacht, mit der ich dieselben Linienstärke benutzt habe wie du. Und ich glaube, du verstehst, was ich gerade gemeint habe. Das ist auch der Grund, warum du mich so oft mit Druckbleistift zeichnen siehst. Weil du eben nicht anspitzen musst. Also bleibt der Stift so präzise wie möglich. Ist aber natürlich auch easy mit einem normalen Holzbleistift möglich. Wenn du eben darauf achtest, dass er immer angespitzt ist, gibt es hier absolut keine Nachteile. Okay Leute, Folge zu Ende, ich brauche jetzt aber wieder euer Feedback. Hat euch die Episode hier besser gefallen als die vorherige? Diesmal habe ich echt versucht, die wichtigsten Schritte live aufzunehmen und ohne Schnitte einfach so zu zeigen. Lasst es mich auf jeden Fall wissen, denn ich habe nicht mehr viel Budget für viele Episoden. Ich werde wahrscheinlich noch ein paar Folgen machen und dann werde ich entscheiden, ob Art 8 eine zweite Staffel bekommen wird. Mit diesen Gedanken im Hinterkopf unterstützt das alles so viel ihr nur irgendwie könnt, sei es durch Liken, kommentieren oder ein paar von euch unterstützen dieses Format ja bereits auf Patreon. Das ist auch mega willkommen. Und wenn du Probleme mit deinem Bild hast, dann folgt mir gerne auf Instagram. Manchmal poste ich Stories, in denen ich euch bitte, mir eure Bilder zu schicken. Und immer wenn ihr seht, dass ich so eine Story poste, dann wisst ihr, dass ihr mir jetzt eure Bilder schicken könnt und vielleicht bist du in der nächsten Episode mit dabei. Danke euch für alles. Wir sehen uns wieder bei der nächsten Folge von Art 8. Die kommt voraussichtlich wieder so übernächste Woche online.
Allein auf dem Thumbnail bin ich zweimal drauf. Eiskalt benutzen die mich und meine Videos für deren Lügenkonstrukt, als würde ich auf der Seite gegen Simplicissimus stehen. Ich wurde missbraucht sozusagen von einem millionenschweren Unternehmen, das mich benutzt hat für deren Propagandazwecke, kann man so sagen. Und darüber hat jetzt Simplicissimus ein Video gemacht, beziehungsweise da kommt das auch drin vor in diesem Video von Simplicissimus und da klicken wir jetzt drauf. Es geht nämlich um Healy. Wer von euch weiß, was Healy ist? Ich kann es auch einfach klären. Simplicissimus haben ein 40 Minuten langes Video, glaube ich, vor ein paar Wochen gegen Healy rausgebracht. Healy, eine Multilevel-Marketing Unternehmen, wo so kleine Geräte sind, die steckst du dir so an, so Healys, und da ist Quantenshit drin und der heilt dich und auf ganz vielen Ebenen bla bla bla. Und natürlich mit Lügen teilweise bringen die dann ihr Marketing irgendwie nach vorne. Behaupten irgendwie, da wäre ein Quantensensor drin oder so und irgendwie sowas in die Richtung. Haben halt Simplicissimus ein Video draus gemacht. Dann wurde Simplicissimus verklagt von Healy, haben nicht gewonnen. Und jetzt hat Healy dann, nachdem es rechtlich nicht geklappt hat, dann angefangen, so Image so zu machen, so, ja, ich nenne es mal Propaganda zu machen und haben mich da unter anderem mit reingezogen.
Lee hat vor wenigen Tagen ein unfassbares Video rausgehauen. In dem geht es unter anderem um uns. Besonders subjektive Fernsehformate wie Simplicissimus, Fern und Funk.
Aber falls ihr es nicht mitbekommen habt, erst ein kurzer Recap. Wir haben über Healy berichtet. Eine üble Esoterik-Masche aus Deutschland.
Ich hätte mir den Recap dann auch selber sparen können. Ja gut.
Das Unternehmen verkauft über ein pyramidenförmiges, aber nicht verbotenes Multilevel-Marketing-System solche Geräte, die mithilfe von Quantentechnologie bei allen möglichen Beschwerden helfen.
Jemand schreibt, wenn das bei psychischen Problemen helfen würde, wären die erfolgreicher. Ja, ich glaube, also das Ding ist, die sind halt sehr erfolgreich, weil sie teilweise behaupten, dass es, glaube ich, bei psychischen Problemen auch hilft. Bei ganz, ganz wilden Problemen soll das angeblich helfen. Aber das sagt halt, dass es dieser Scam sozusagen daran, oder dieser Trick daran, weil das sagt nicht, also diese ganz großen Behauptungen macht nicht die Marke auf ihrer offiziellen Seite, obwohl die da auch, glaube ich, Sachen geschrieben haben, die völlig Quatsch sind, sondern machen dann die Verkäufer, weil die natürlich das Ding verkaufen müssen. Weil wenn du ein Verkäufer in einem Multilevel-Marketing-Ding drin bist, dann hast du einen riesigen Druck, das zu verkaufen. Und natürlich sagst du dann auch Sachen, die vielleicht nicht wahr sind, kann schon sein.
Dafür soll in dem Gerät ein Quantensensor verbaut sein, ist er aber nicht. Healy-Vertriebler haben uns die absurdesten Versprechen gemacht. Zum Beispiel, dass der Healy unserer krebskranken Tante über 3000 Kilometer Distanz helfen könne.
Also der Healy wird nicht zu ihr hingeschickt, zu der Tante, sondern der Healy bleibt irgendwie in Deutschland oder so. Aber über die Distanz kann der Healy genau die richtige Person 3000 Kilometer weiter treffen und heilen. Ey, kurzer Shoutout für mein Partner-Display. Das, was da hinten an der Wand ist, kennt ihr? Die haben nämlich was ziemlich Geiles Neues am Start und zwar heißt das Textra. Das bedeutet, dass auf so einem Display, ich glaube, das könnt ihr an der Reflexion nämlich, wenn ihr über meinen Link geht, 22%, wenn ihr 1 bis 2 Displays kauft und 33% bei 3 Displays oder mehr. Also wenn ihr Bock darauf habt, checkt es auf jeden Fall aus. Link ist in der Videobeschreibung. Und dann geht's jetzt weiter mit dem Video.
CERN ist global aktiv und macht über 100 Millionen Euro Umsatz pro Jahr. Nach unseren Videos auf unserem englischsprachigen Kanal Fern hat Healy uns über eine internationale Großkanzlei verklagt.
Ist auch, glaube ich, ein ganz entspannter Morgen, wenn du so in dein E-Mail-Postfach guckst oder irgendwie Post aufmachst. Und erstmal siehst, eine internationale Großkanzlei hat dich verklagt. Ich glaube, das ist schon, also, ich meine, ich kenne es ja selber, wenn man irgendwie Post von irgendwelchen teuren Anwälten oder so bekommt, von irgendwelchen Leuten, gegen die man was vielleicht gesagt hat oder so. Aber also selbst wenn man weiß, man ist im Recht, ist das schon eine Sache, was sich nicht schön anfühlt, so, ne?
Wir haben uns darauf eingelassen und dann gab es viel Schriftverkehr hin und her mit unserem Anwalt Kai und OneUp an der Seite. Kai hat einige brutale Star Wars-Vergleiche rausgehauen und trotz internationaler Großkanzlei und gut organisierter interner Rechtsabteilung mit umfassender Erfahrung aus über 25 Jahren im Direktvertrieb sah es am Ende wohl nicht gut aus für Healy.
Sad. Haben sie wohl rechtlich nicht so viel Chancen gehabt. Sad. Die Armen.
Der Vorsitzende Richter des zuständigen Landgerichts hat mit Healys Anwälten telefoniert und meinte sinnbildlich vereinfacht gesagt, ihr könntet jetzt schon vor Gericht ziehen gegen die Jungs, aber eure Chancen stehen echt nicht gut. Diesen Rechtsstreit haben wir jetzt vor kurzem öffentlich gemacht. An der Stelle danke für euren unfassbaren Support. Wenige Tage vorher ist auf dem Healy World Kanal dieses Video online gegangen.
Die Wahrheit über Healy World. Fakten gegen bloße Behauptungen. Und allein auf dem Thumbnail bin ich 2-mal drauf. Leute, könnt ihr mich bitte da rauslassen? Könnt ihr es einfach nicht machen, dass ihr mich da reinzieht?
Gegangen. Die Wahrheit über Healy World. Fakten gegen bloße Behauptungen.
Auf dem Thumbnail sind einfach 3 Gesichter drauf, 2 davon von mir. Leute, bitte.
Zuletzt sah sich Healy World unbegründeter Kritik gegenüber. Die Verursacher sind wie so oft subjektive und sensationsorientierte YouTube-Formate wie Simplicissimus, Fern und Steuerung F. Interessanterweise geraten nun diese irreführenden Formate selbst in die Kritik. In den sozialen Medien werden ihre Glaubwürdigkeit und ihr Hang zur Sensationslust immer mehr hinterfragt.
Warte, und nur um das klar zu machen, die haben mich nicht im Thumbnail drin, weil die sagen, dass ich derjenige bin, der Sensationslust habe, sondern die haben mich im Thumbnail drin, weil sie es so framen wollen, als würde ich sagen, dass Simplicissimus Sensationslust hat und würde die kritisieren. So wollen die das framen. Die wollen es so framen, als würde ich gegen Simpli sein. Digga.
Weiter spricht der Konzern von irreführender Berichterstattung und einem Mangel an Beweisen. Das lassen wir uns natürlich nicht gefallen. Zum einen ist es fast schon amüsant, was diese Esoteriker hier versuchen. Zum anderen entlarvt es die Strategien des Konzerns deutlicher denn je. Zeit für die nächste Runde.
Beat the pussy up, then I beat the eyes too. Got a lot to prove, L Woods with the law school. I am not a wave.
Zeit für die nächste Runde. Ey, wirklich, leg dich doch nicht mit Simplicissimus an. Lass es doch einfach bleiben. Hä, aber bist du gegen die? Nein, ich bin nicht gegen die. Also ich bin nicht gegen Simplicissimus. Ich bin gegen Healy. Es ist einfach absoluter Bullshit, mich da so darzustellen.
Normalerweise würden wir solche Follow-up-Videos eher auf 2BG posten. Aber in diesem Fall wollen wir maximal viele Menschen erreichen. Aufgrund unserer unbändigen Sensationslust, versteht sich. Healys Video kommt in ihrer Community sehr gut an. Viele Emojis, Herzen, Einhörner.
Vielen herzlichen Dank. Ich bin stolz, eine Healy-Member zu sein. So eine tolle Firma, die eindeutig für gute Zwecke sich für das Wohlbefinden der Menschheit einsetzt. Danke, dass es euch gibt.
Und allgemeine
Endlich mal klare Worte und Fakten von Menschen, die sich auskennen. Also das steht unter dem Video von Healy, wo die sagen, wo basically dann so, hatte es schon gesehen, weil als es rauskam, habt ihr mir das zugeschickt auf Insta, weil ein paar Leute hatten es gesehen. Hatte jetzt nicht so ultra viele Views bekommen, aber ich glaube schon irgendwie, stand glaube ich sogar gerade da irgendwie 50.000 oder so. Ein paar von euch haben es gesehen, haben mir das so zugeschickt, so dürfen die das benutzen? Ich habe Insta-Nachrichten bekommen, so hier benutzt dich so eine Brand in einem Video, dürfen die das? Ich auch so,
Boomer Energy in den Kommentaren. Sehr schön. Der Konzern hätte Healy-tastische Arbeit gemacht. Healy antwortet stilgerecht mit Emojis und vielen Ausrufezeichen. Eine Kundin beschwert sich allerdings auch, dass in ihrem Healy, den sie seit 2 Jahren besitzt, ja anders als behauptet, gar kein Quantensensor verbaut sei.
Die hat verstanden, dass da was nicht so ist, wie die gesagt haben.
Level up your gaming space with metal posters from Displays. Swap them whenever you like.
Einer hat's verstanden, oder was?
In ihren Worten, ich habe wirklich versucht, daran zu glauben. Aber jetzt kann ich das nicht mehr. Es tut mir wirklich leid. Es war eine schöne Idee. In diesem Fall gibt Healy seltsamerweise nur eine eher generische Kundensupport-Antwort.
Wir bedauern zu hören, dass Ihre Erfahrungen mit Healy nicht den Erwartungen entsprochen haben. Ja, das ist so Copy-Paste, ne? Es tut uns leid zu hören, dass Sie nicht die erwarteten Erfolge mit dem Gerät erzielen konnten, bla bla bla. Wir ermutigen Sie, sich bei weiteren Fragen oder Bedenken direkt an Kundenservice oder die Community zu wenden. Ja, das ist Copy-Paste.
Noch seltsamer, der Kommentar scheint seit einigen Tagen einfach verschwunden zu sein. Ansonsten konnten...
Ach, komisch. Hat sie sich vielleicht nochmal anders überlegt? Hat sie vielleicht doch sie gemerkt, dass sie im Unrecht war und Healy das immer richtig gesagt hat? Hallo, das muss doch nicht heißen, dass sie den gelöscht haben, den Kommentar, nein.
Wir unter dem Video keine Kritik finden. Die Kommentarspalte wurde pausiert. Unser Highlight ist ein älterer Kunde, der behauptet...
Keine Kritik in den Kommentaren, das halte ich auch für sehr plausibel. Also ich glaube nicht, dass da irgendwer was beeinflusst hat an der Stelle.
Healy hätte ihm nach einem Sturz bei seinem Nasenbruch geholfen.
Digga, er hat mir geholfen bei meinem Nasenbruch. Mit meinen jungen 65 Jahren bin ich auf dem Eis direkt auf die Nase gefallen. Klammer auf, ohne Hände, Ausrufezeichen, Klammer zu, Punkt. Entschuldigung, ich lache nicht darüber, dass er auf seine Nase gefallen ist. Einfach, wie das geschrieben ist. Ich bin nicht zum Arzt gegangen, nur 2 Healys genutzt, lokal und über Armbänder. Nach 8 Tagen bin ich zum Arzt, weil mich mein Sohn überredet hat. Oh Mann, Alter. Ja, und dann war halt gar nichts mehr, hat der Arzt gesagt. Toll.
Apropos Nasenbruch, im letzten Video zu dem Unternehmen ging es ja viel darum, wie Healy von Kai schlafen gelegt wurde.
Ich hasse euch!
In diesem Fall
Kai ist der Anwalt, glaube ich, von Simplicissimus.
Natürlich unfreiwillig. Aber guter Schlaf ist enorm wichtig und man braucht...
Überleitung on fleek. Zu Emma dann wahrscheinlich?
Auch das passende Equipment. Ihr könnt es euch vielleicht denken, Emma ist hier selbstverständlich die Anlaufstelle.
Ja.
Mit dem Code SIMPLY kriegt ihr nochmal 5% Rabatt obendrauf. Der Versand ist kostenlos und ihr könnt die Matratzen bis zu 100 Nächte risikofrei...
Oder mit dem Code REZO. Aber nein, macht Simply. Ich reacte auf deren Video. Macht Simply.
Probe schlafen. Scannt jetzt diesen QR-Code oder klickt auf den Link in der Beschreibung. Aber nun zum Video selbst.
Zuletzt war...
So. Ich habe auch seit, weiß ich gar nicht, jetzt einer Weile Emma Ich schlafe auf Emma und bin Real Talk so froh, dass ich geswitcht habe, weil ich hatte eine Matratze vor, weiß ich gar nicht wie vielen Jahren, ich glaube, als ich nach Aachen gezogen bin, hatte ich die gekauft. Und die war auch verhältnismäßig echt teuer damals so. Und ich dachte so, okay, investierst du mal in eine gute Matratze. Und ich hatte in letzter Zeit, und das klingt jetzt so wie so Gelaber, so, aber es ist Real Talk so, hatte so das letzte halbe Jahr teilweise wirklich regelmäßig so beim Aufwachen Rückenschmerzen. Und dann dachte ich so, kann ja nicht sein. So, ich bin jetzt nicht uralt, das kann nicht sein, dass ich Rückenschmerzen habe. So. Und die habe ich jetzt nicht mehr, weil ich jetzt eine bessere Matratze habe von Emma. So, und es klang jetzt wie komplett Werbeschnitt, war aber zu 100% die Wahrheit.
Ich habe den Link in der Beschreibung. Aber nun zum Video selbst.
Real Talk so gewesen.
Zuletzt war Healy unsachliche Kritik ausgesetzt. Die Akteure wieder einmal besonders subjektive Fernsehformate wie Simplicissimus, Fern und Funk.
Okay, wir sind zwar kein Fernsehformat, Funk auch.
Was die ja alles, also was die in ihrem Video, das ist der Ausschnitt jetzt aus diesem Video, die wollen ja ihrer Community klar machen, oh, da gibt es jetzt so Formate, die schießen gegen Healy, gegen uns. Aber die werden jetzt alle kritisiert. Diese Formate, die gegen uns schießen, die werden ja kritisiert, dass sie unsachlich sind. Weißt du, das ist so der Angle, was sie rüberbringen wollen. Was? Stand da Rezo? Ja, ich denke schon.
Auch nicht, Funk ist ein Netzwerk, aber hey.
Wieder einmal.
Fast eine subjektive Propaganda. Studie zeigt auf.
Das
Was kostet
subjektive Fernsehformate wie
NDR, ja genau. Steuerung F bittet Internetstar Rezo um Entschuldigung. Ich möchte bitte ab jetzt nur noch Internetstar Rezo genannt werden. Ich akzeptiere es nicht mehr, wenn man Rezo sagt. Ich möchte bitte immer ab jetzt Internetstar Rezo genannt werden.
Simplicissimus, Fern und Funk.
Okay, wir sind zwar kein Fernsehformat, Funk auch nicht, Funk ist ein Netzwerk, aber hey, wahrscheinlich meinten sie hier Steuerung F, die schon eine Reportage zu Healy hochgeladen haben, als wir noch in der Recherche steckten. Parallel zu dem Satz werden irgendwelche Artikelauszüge eingeblendet.
Also wirklich, das hat ja alles nichts mit Healy zu tun. Enthüllungen, YouTube-Kanäle Steuerung F und Rezo stellen
Kritik an Funk allgemein,
Journalismus
warum
bloß.
Kurz gesagt MyLab und wir nicht mehr bei Funk sind, einen Übermedienartikel zu Funks Reportageformaten, was zu der Joko und Klaas-Geschichte damals, dazu Berichterstattung rund um Rezos Kritik an Steuerung F. Diese Headlines hängen nicht mit uns zusammen.
Die haben ja nichts damit zu tun. Die tun einfach so, für Leute, die das nicht so überblicken, tun die einfach so, als würde ich auf der Seite gegen Simplicissimus stehen. Das stellen sie so dar.
Außer, dass unser Simpli-Kanal mal bei Funk war, es aber seit knapp 2 Jahren nicht mehr ist. Sie belegen nicht, dass unsere Kritik an Healy unsachlich wäre oder unsere Formate besonders subjektiv.
Leider gehen viele Menschen auf Social Media diesen
einfach, weiß ich nicht, 8, 9, 10 Artikel gleichzeitig ins Bild packen und hoffen, dass die niemand durchliest, so, ne? Weil es die meisten ja auch nicht machen. Die meisten denken einfach, oh, krass, viele Artikel, das wird wohl gut belegt sein. Lesen so 1, 2 Worte in der Headline, merken, ja, könnte was damit zu tun haben, so. Es funktioniert. Kannst du die nicht verklagen? Nee, ich glaube nicht. Nee. Weil die sagen jetzt nicht explizit an eigene. Das ist das Ding. Sie implizieren es nur. Also es kommt so rüber, sie suggerieren es, aber die sagen jetzt nicht irgendwie, Rezo ist gegen Simpli, das sagen sie jetzt nicht.
Filmen auf den Leim. Gegenüber unseren Membern ist das nicht fair. Aber die Diskussion verselbstständigt sich. Interessant, dass diese Formate jetzt ihrerseits am Pranger stehen.
Wie dreist ist das denn? Wirklich. Echt. Eiskalt benutzen die mich und meine Videos für deren Lügenkonstrukt. Hä? Ey, ich bin nicht auf eurer Seite.
Hier zeigen sie ein Thumbnail einer Kritik an uns von Imp von vor fast 4 Jahren. Da ging es um gänzlich andere Dinge, zu denen wir damals ausführlich Stellung bezogen haben. Wir stehen also in der Gegenwart nicht am Pranger, weil sich derzeit irgendeine Diskussion angeblich verselbstständigt. Andere Kritik an uns konnte Healy auf die Schnelle wohl leider nicht finden. Dabei hätte sich die Bild mit Agitprop doch eigentlich angeboten. Wir werden visuell mit der jüngsten Kritik an Steuerung F in einen Topf geworfen, obwohl unsere Formate nichts miteinander zu tun haben. Steuerung F steht zu Recht in der Kritik rund um ihren Umgang mit Rezo. Für ihre Doku zu Healy wurden sie aber überhaupt nicht kritisiert im Zuge dieser Affäre.
Ja, nicht mal das macht Sinn. Also nicht mal zu sagen, ja, hier ist Steuerung F in der Kritik. Und vor 7 Monaten haben die auch ein Video zu Healy gemacht. Also guck doch mal, selbst das ist ja schon nicht da.
Und an der Reportage ist auch nichts auszusetzen. Sie featuret unter anderem die Jungs von Science Cops, die einen phänomenalen Podcast zu Healy produziert haben.
Das ist schon frech. Ich finde es schon frech.
Die Reporter versuchen sogar, Healy und Schmieke vor Ort zu konfrontieren.
Wir durften tatsächlich kurz mal...
Genau, Sascha wurde ja auch mit reingezogen. Also es ist wirklich... Ein Video vom Parabelritter war da gerade. Das wurde alles einfach so. Hat nichts zu tun mit Healy. Mit dieser ganzen Auseinandersetzung.
Unter funkelnden Kronleuchtern auf Markus Schmieke warten. Das hieß dann, er kommt noch. Dann hat man ihn aber scheinbar kurz mal angerufen und jetzt sind wir wieder draußen.
Unter funkelnden Kronleuchtern, da halte ich mich auch meistens auf. Ich Internetstar Rezo. Ich heiße Hailey und verstehe immer meinen Namen. Und das triggert mich ein bisschen. Ja, okay, dann sage ich jetzt ab jetzt nicht mehr Healy, weil dann verstehst du ja Hailey. Dann sage ich ab jetzt Hailey. Dann vielleicht hilft das.
Wir haben Steuerung F bei der Gelegenheit mal gefragt, ob sie eigentlich auch Post von Healy bekommen haben. Und oh, haben sie halt tatsächlich. Es gab einen Antrag auf einstweilige Verfügung.
Klassiker.
Nach ihrer Berichterstattung, doch das Landgericht in Berlin hat dann Bedenken gegen den Erlass geäußert. Ganz ähnlich wie bei uns anscheinend. Und dann hat die Gegenseite, also Healy, den Verfügungsantrag zurückgenommen und die auferlegten Verfahrenskosten gezahlt.
Ach so. Die haben den Antrag dann zurückgenommen. Aha, also sie sind gescheitert. Also man kann schon sagen, die sind an Barbara Salesch gescheitert.
Das macht dann schon 2 bekannte Fälle. Ob es noch mehr gibt? Im Prinzip ist das, was Healy hier macht, klassischer Whataboutism. Man verweist auf unzusammenhängende Kritik an Steuerung F, welche ihre Reportage über Healy aber nicht entkräftet. Selbst wenn man Steuerung Fs Arbeit kritisch sieht, muss man schon klar belegen, welche Aussagen in ihrem Video denn konkret falsch sein sollen. So ein allgemeiner Schleier des Misstrauens reicht da einfach nicht. Besonders subjektiv formuliert, für uns ein ziemlicher Akt der Verzweiflung.
Besonders subjektiv formuliert. Ja, das hatte ja Hailey über Simply gesagt.
Nachdem man mit rechtlichen Mitteln de facto nichts erreicht hat. Im Anschluss betont
diese rechtlichen Briefe, also dass man dann eine einstweilige Verfügung sozusagen direkt schickt, funktioniert auch oft wegen Einschüchterung. Also wenn irgendjemand einen Brief bekommt von einer großen Kanzlei, von irgendeinem reichen Unternehmen und da steht viel Text und das ist alles so einschüchternd und da geht es dann darum, ja, du musst jetzt immer, also häufig dann auch mit sehr kurzen Fristen so, bis morgen Abend musst du das unterschrieben haben, sonst wird das und das passieren, ne? Und dann manchmal funktioniert es halt auch einfach über die Einschüchterung so, ne?
Healy, dass sie als Medizingerät zertifiziert sei.
Deswegen umso besser, dass sich weder Steuerung F noch Simplizismus da haben einschüchtern lassen.
Und Audits nach der Richtlinie 9342 EWG unterliegen und der ISO-Norm 13485. Außerdem hat der Healy eine CE-Kennzeichnung. Wir haben Kai mal gefragt, was das eigentlich jeweils genau bedeutet. Und er sagt, CE-Kennzeichnungen und Zertifizierungen nach der ISO 13485 und auch die Konformitätserklärung nach der Richtlinie 9342 EWG sind keine behördlichen Zertifizierungen, bei denen der Staat quasi die Wirksamkeit eines Gerätes prüft und es für gut befindet.
Also Healy hat gesagt, ja, wir haben doch hier diese Zertifizierung, da wurde es doch, ist doch krass, aber dabei ist das halt nicht irgendwas, sagt das nichts aus über die Wirksamkeit. Ja, Ehrenkai, wirklich. Kai ist bester.
Vielmehr geht es dabei um Produktsicherheitsaspekte, Qualitätsmanagement und technische Vorgaben. Die Konformitätserklärung erfolgt durch das Unternehmen selbst, beziehungsweise unter Mitwirkung einer sogenannten benannten Stelle. Vielleicht auch interessant ist, dass die Richtlinie 9342 EWG
wenn ich noch einmal Richtlinie 9342 EWG höre.
Nach der Erstellung des Zertifikats für Healy durch die inzwischen viel strengere Medizingeräteverordnung ersetzt wurde. Wir haben in unserer Berichterstattung nie angezweifelt, dass Healy als Medizinprodukt zugelassen ist. Wir haben vielmehr festgestellt, dass in dieser Zulassung nicht staatlich oder durch die EU geprüft wird, ob das Gerät tatsächlich wirksam ist.
Ja, und das hatten sie auch völlig recht damit. Es wurde nicht staatlich geprüft, ob das wirksam ist. Ja, und das haben die auch nicht entkräftet jetzt. Ich würde sagen, guckt gerne den Rest dieses Videos für euch zu Ende. Weil mir ging es jetzt vor allen Dingen um den Part, wo ich jetzt hier benutzt wurde für diese Zwecke. Und ich glaube, ab jetzt wird es mehr inhaltlich, wo es dann um einzelne Punkte noch geht. Aber guckt euch das super, super, super gerne an auf dem Simply-Channel. Gibt für dieses Video auf jeden Fall einen Like und yes, folgt Simply auf jeden Fall.
Honkai Star Rail has just added a drink mixing event. I know nothing about Honkai Star Rail. It's like looking in a mirror. Can anything in these videos go right? Well, that didn't work. We're not doing any milk. Bada bing, bada boom. I'm doing it again. Oh God. Quick course correction. I feel like I kind of nailed it. Woo! Look at Mr. Bigwig. Oh, I'm getting more into the stank. I don't know if I'll make anything as good as this is. And I am having a great time. Hello, welcome to my bar, aka my kitchen. So this morning, I woke up to a message from my good friend Man Mode, informing me that apparently Honkai Star Rail has just added a drink mixing event, a permanent event where you get to mix and make drinks for customers and act like a bartender. Now I needed to film something this week, so I went, hey, that's a good idea. He then informed me that I would have to actually play through the entire game to get to that point. So thank you so much to Man Mode for joining me in a call and doing this event and filming it all. All of the gameplay footage you're gonna see is courtesy of him. Also, by the way, there's like a massive storm going on outside. If you hear some rain or some thunder or maybe even some hail, that's just part of the ambiance now. I'm gonna be honest with you. I know nothing about Honkai Star Rail. The main thing I know is Gallagher, because he's a bartender, and I mean, let's be honest, it's like looking in a mirror. I have technically played it once at Anime Expo in 2022. I also got all of this free stuff, which means, yes, I am a better fan than you. All right, that bit's over. Now to put all of this away, and it's gonna go sit back in the corner of my room. It's collecting dust for 1.5 years now. So this event takes place on Penacony, which I guess is a new planet. I will say, I love the style of Penacony. Futuristic Art Deco mob shit. I mean, that is, love that. Love the characters that I've seen from there. Siobhan in this event. I'd let her make me worse. But that's enough stalling. I've already established I don't know anything about this, so I don't know what insightful commentary you were hoping to hear from me on that front, but you're not gonna get it. What you are gonna get is some fun drink recipes, or at least my best attempts at recreating them from the Dream Jolt Hostelry. Hostelry. Maybe the H is silent. Hostelry. Oh, I had pizza before this and it's giving me pizza throat. Also, I'm pretty sure there was a drink mixing event in Genshin at some point. If somebody could just let me know I'm not crazy on that front, because I'm way too lazy to Google it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've got drinks to make. I don't have time for that. All right, this one